This version of It's Erik Nagel has been modified from its original broadcast. Content has been edited to fit this platform.
Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see.
It's Erik Nagel. And it starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the universe, the next voice you hear, it's Erik Nagel.
And thank you, Scott Shannon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. I am Erik Nagel. Joining me just in the nick of time is Jordan.
How you doing, everybody?
What a day you had today, but we will get to that a little bit later because we got to rush through this intro because we have a guest coming on in just a matter of moments. Do us a kindness. If you're listening to us on the iHeartRadio app, thank you very much for doing so. If you're listening to the show, Apple, Spotify, all those fine places, go over there, leave us a positive review. It does help out the program. And if you want to join us live each and every week as we do said program, you can hop over to our live rooms on YouTube and on Twitch, all under It's Erik Nagel, and be part of the program with chats and super chats and other money that people just love to throw here and there at Jordan for whatever reason. I don't know. You can go over there. And if you missed the show live and you want to see the whole produced version, it's available also on our YouTube channel for you to enjoy. Jordan, you okay? Everything good?
Good. Just by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, I'll say. Quick little explanation. Jordan had some family stuff happening today. We'll talk about that in a little bit later in the program, but you made it here just as we started.
As much as I wanted to meet Frank, too, I think they broke every driving law, speed law, trying to get around accidents. I was just like, I gotta go. I've got better things to be doing.
I will clip this, send it over to him, and have him go through the cameras, and then post-date that ticket for you to make sure that you get the fines that you deserve.
Well, that's why I need the super chats, everybody. So get those going.
He's got a lot of tickets he's going to need to pay for coming up very shortly. So, yeah, we'll talk about what was going on with Jordan. We have a bunch of weird Olympic highlights for you. We're not doing the traditional ones. We got some of that.
Oof.
We have some recaps from San Diego Comic-Con. A story that I had no idea was going on, that one source had, and now we're starting to see in other places that this might have actually been a thing.
Oh, yeah. I was reading more up on it today while I was waiting around doing stuff. So it is what a wild story.
Yeah, very wild story.
All right.
And it just goes to make you think, I've been going there for years, for us doing the show there on the floor of said convention and at the hotels. Was that going on while we were doing the program? I don't know. We will find out.
Also, why not me?
I know.
But here we are.
And then we're going to talk about my friend, Sabrina Carpenter. You know who she is, right?
Yes, I do.
Upcoming pop star. She's coming into her own. All of that stuff a little bit later in the program. Now, we got to get to our special guest. He is here. He is a man. Well, we can't say the man of 1,000 voices because that belongs to one legendary voice actor, the man who pretty much started it all, Mr. Mel Blanc. This guy is the man of like 742 voices. He doesn't do all of them, but he's close enough to just get the job. Please say hello to Mr. Jeff Bergman. Jeff, how are you, sir?
742. How did you know that's how many voices I do?
It was just enough to qualify to fool the guys at Warner Brothers, and they go, yeah, okay, get this guy out of my office. Just give him the job. We've got other things to do.
Well, it's such a random number. Like, no one's going to think it's a lie.
Yeah.
Like 750, nice round number. But 742, that's got to be real, right?
Yeah, I mean, because look at some of the most successful men in history. Mel Blanc, man of 1,000 voices. Chris Jericho, man of 10,000 wrestling holds. Jeff Bergman, I can do half of them. I think that should get me the job.
Yeah.
Jeff,
thanks, guys, for having me on.
Of course.
This is awesome.
Very excited. Let's get your plug out of the way first, and then we'll do it again a little bit later in here. But you've got a signing coming up. Tell everybody where they can go and meet you and see what you do in real life.
Well, this is the very first live signing that I'm doing, and it's on Whatnot, and it will be happening Saturday, August the 3rd, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's on Whatnot, and you can find more out about this at OCCelebritymarketing.com, OCCelebritymarketing.com, and it's Saturday, August the 3rd.
So people get to, they go in, they buy their virtual ticket, and they get to log in and see you there with what you're doing?
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of stuff that you can purchase. There's merch there. There's all kinds of things that, that's Bugs Bunny related, Looney Tunes related, Hanna-Barbera as well. And if you purchase, any one of the items, I'm doing a giveaway. There's 5 giveaways from my personal collection. One is a Toon Squad jersey from Space Jam. It hasn't been worn, so I don't want anyone to think that I wore it and sweated it up.
No, say Shaq wore it or somebody that wasn't in the movie. It's like, why was he wearing that thing? I don't know, but it smells like Shaq. It couldn't be yours if the price is right.
Right, and then I have a pair of sneakers, also not worn, that were made specially for Space Jam: A New Legacy. They're super cool. And then I'm giving away an Xbox as well. So it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So, you said this is the first of its kind, like you're doing a first virtual. Have you ever attended cons before? Have you done like live signings and things like that? Okay, so you've done some in-person stuff. This is just kind of new to you as far as like the virtual.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many Galaxy cons, so many fan expos.
Right.
They're all over the world. I was just in Telford, England, and got to meet so many nice people from Germany and Ireland and Manchester, everywhere. And then I was in Dallas. That was crazy. That was insane. And then I just got back from San Diego Comic-Con because I was doing a panel there for the new MeTV Toons channel, promoting their new cartoon channel. So, I mean, I've been doing so many cons that and you can't get everywhere. And fans will say, Jeff, when are you coming to North Carolina? When are you coming to, NYCC? When are you coming here? So,
Jeff, when are you coming home? His family. Like they're just constantly around the world.
When are we going to see you again? Yeah. So I'm really excited. This way people can engage that follow me either on Instagram or TikTok. They'll be able to, talk live. And then if they're interested, they can go over to Whatnot and grab something. So, yeah, there you go.
Now, Jeff, this is going to be the first of its kind for you. This might turn you in a way. Like, this is going to be the only way you want to do this. You're going to say, like, why am I traveling to meet people, wasting my time on airplanes and buses and trains and steamships because apparently it's the 1800s to get over to England. You're going to sit there on these digital things and go, I'm just going to do this from home every day.
No, the amount of money I don't have to spend on hand sanitizer alone is just going to cause me to not go on.
No, my wife, she's like, Jeff, we have to stop the traveling. It's just too much. But honestly, the fans are, when you meet somebody in person and they come up to you, there's nothing that beats that. I mean, that's the coolest thing.
She says, you got to stop the traveling. You start doing this virtually, and then she goes to come over and go, Jeff, you got to start the traveling again. You got to get out of here and start going back. I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong. Get out of here.
No, well, I love the kids because, like, their moms will say, that's Bugs Bunny. And then I'll go, what's up, Doc? It's true. I'm a rabbit, all right. And they look at you like, you're not.
You don't look like Bugs Bunny. I'm not going to believe this guy.
Yeah, no way. Yeah. So it's such a visceral response when you say that's who when they see your face, it's like, I'm buying that.
I want to go back to sort of where all this started with you here. For those who don't know Jeff is a man who does so many voices. He was the first official replacement for Mel Blanc when Mel Blanc passed away. He was the first guy to get the job to fill in for Bugs and Daffy and other characters there. But we'll get to that in a second because Mel Blanc's a big part of the reason why you're doing this now. But this all started with you doing college radio.
I did. I loved radio. I felt like it was the only place for me because I thought, well, I don't know. I don't like stand-up. I tried it. I just wasn't funny. And then acting, on stage, I tried that in college. But radio seemed like, it just seemed like the perfect fit for me. And I started to do characters and voices on the radio. College. And I thought, okay, I think kind of this is what I want. And then Mel Blanc was actually giving a lecture at Pitt while I was getting my undergraduate degree. I think it was in my junior year.
Right.
And I happened to meet Mel, lightly stalked him back to his hotel room.
As one does, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, today that would never, I don't imagine that could ever happen today. But I knocked on his door around 10 o'clock at night and I heard this voice say, well, just a jiffy. And I thought, oh my God, that sinus sounds like Barney Rubble. And he opens the door, and I said, Mr. Blank, I'm your biggest fan. I just saw your lecture at University of Pittsburgh. I promise if I could spend 3 minutes with you, I won't hurt you, I promise. And he said to me, are you Jewish or Italian? And I said, I'm Jewish. Come on in. So
it's like an old speakeasy password to let you in there.
It's also how he ordered his sandwiches too. So
yeah. So I mean, he was very nice. I mean, we sat for maybe 45 minutes and talked, and he said, if you ever get out to California, look me up. 8 years later, he died on my birthday on 1989, which was kind of weird, eerie. And then 3 weeks later, they were casting for Tiny Toons. Spielberg was looking to cast for Tiny Toons, and Mel was gone. And so there were national auditions, and I just had to audition for each character: Bugs, Daffy, Elmer, Sylvester, Tweety, Yosemite Sam, Foghorn Leghorn, and got to do all of those for Tiny Toons, and that was the beginning of how it all started.
You were at University of Pittsburgh. You were at the college radio station there, an AM station at the time. Now it's an FM station, WPGH AM. When you were there, I'm sure it was the old studio where they had the round dials and for the microphones, and cart and reel machines that barely worked. You found some kind of interest doing the radio. Was there something that influenced you? I mean, obviously Mel influenced you for doing the voices and the cartoons and what have you. But while doing radio, was there some show? Was there anybody that you listened to growing up that kind of steered you in that direction?
Well, I think there's something mysterious about radio that when you're doing a bit, you don't really know if anybody's laughing or anybody likes what you're doing. If you're a production manager, if the staff comes back and says, hey, that was great, okay, you show up the next day. If they don't like it, well, all right, that's another story. But I think I kind of like the fact that I didn't get a reaction from doing like voices on the radio, because if you're in a club and you don't get laughs, there's an instant feeling of like, oh my God, I'm going to get killed,
right.
Like I'm never going to come back again. But you don't know that on the radio, at least right away, so I think I like that. There was an intimacy there, and I don't know, I love what you guys do, and I just.
So it was something you just stumbled into on your own. There really wasn't anybody that you're like, wow, I kind of like that, because most people in radio have at least one person that they listen to in whatever market, or maybe they were a national broadcaster coming out of New York or LA or something like that.
Maybe Casey Kasem, because, he was really interesting because he had this amazing kind of silky voice, but yet Casey also did cartoon voices. He was,
he was Shaggy,
right. And he was Robin. And so
he was in the Transformers too, I think, the first season or something like that.
Yeah. So he had like this idyllic career, and then he did all these voiceovers. He was like the hot guy in the 70s. So I thought, wow, that's kind of a cool career.
So you meet Mel while doing college radio in Pittsburgh, and then whatever amount of time goes by, you're out in Los Angeles and you're going around trying to get some work. The Jetsons movie is going on, and this isn't Jetsons meets the Flintstone. This is just the Jetsons movie, right. And if you want to talk about what could have been a potentially cursed production, was Mel Blanc died, who was the voice of everybody, but for the Jetsons he was Mr. Spacely, George's boss, and then you had George O'Hanlon, who was George. The two main voices in the movie, and they both passed away. You got tapped for it, and you did both voices in the movie.
Yeah, I did, and it was maybe the hardest session I ever had in my 40-year career, because who directed me? Bill Hanna of Hanna-Barbera. And at that time, he was in his late 70s. I was 29. He was so scary. And he would sit in the front row and he would fall asleep as I was doing my takes. I'm doing it again. It doesn't sound right. And I thought, oh, God, if I could get through this, maybe I'll get through anything. And it was hard because both of these guys were old. Mel was old. George O'Hanlon was old. And so I had to match their reads from the film. And they had a pencil test. And that wasn't finished yet. Right. So it was really tricky because when I came in there, I was thinking, oh boy, I'm going to get the big raise. I'm going to make it sound like that. Mr. Raise. Mr. Spacely. And I couldn't make it sound like that because that's not what he sounded like. That was what he sounded like in 1962 when the series premiered. But now here's the late 80s and he's much older. So I had to match what they had, and they recorded about 3/4 of the film. So I had to finish, the rest of it. And then Mel, the same thing with Mel. When he did Spacely in the early 60s, it was, Jetson, don't move, George. I want to remember just as you are. Fired. I mean, he had this big, powerful voice. And Mel just didn't have the same voice in the late 80s, so I had to match that. And so it was frustrating because I knew I could really do it as the way people really remembered it. So,
was there ever a thought to, because you're saying how frustrating it is to match this, to going back and say maybe just letting you redo everything that they already did?
That's what I was hoping. Yeah, exactly. But, it's like Mel Blanc was a name, that's the gold standard. And so, and I think rightly so. I mean, he's earned that. He had 50 years or more in a career, and his name was on the poster, Mel Blanc. Voices by Mel, so they had to sell that, and I think Mel's acting was great. It's just he had late stage of emphysema, I think, and so he just didn't sound 100% the same. So it was an honor to do it. It was very hard to do it. In fact, next year it'll be the 35th anniversary of Jetsons the movie, and then if you remember, they actually brought in Tiffany. And she was the hot singer of the day.
Judy Jetson,
right. And that didn't quite work out, I guess, the way they hoped it would. But right. She was the flavor of that
There
time.
were more Debbie Gibson fans at the office there than they were of Tiffany.
Debbie Gibson.
I was going to say, that movie came out right when I was around 10 years old, and I was, I used to watch that movie constantly. And when we talk about, getting into radio and having that one guy, Rick Dees was my introduction to radio, and he was in the movie as Rocket Rick.
That's so funny because I loved Rick Dees. I'm so glad you brought that up because I was on his show when he had that nighttime show.
Yeah.
And he had me on, and I was doing all the voices. And his wife, actually, Julie, was a really good impressionist. She's a great voice artist. I don't know if she's still in the industry, but I loved Rick. So
that was my first real introduction to radio as a younger listener, and then as I got older, obviously it was other people. But yeah, Rick Dees was that. His voice was iconic, and then just having him in that movie was such a big thing for me because, I was a big fan of Tiffany at the time because I'm 10 years old, and going back and listen and realizing there was no discernible difference in the voice work for me. I would have never known two people were playing George. You know what I mean? So that's great. It just to be able to keep Mel on there and then you come in and take over for that, fourth, fifth, whatever the movie. It's pretty impressive. I love that movie.
Especially for a first gig, when you finally get tapped to okay, we're going to let you do some stuff. You got to fix that project first, and then we'll give you bugs. And you're like, all right, I have to be George Jetson. Fine, whatever. You've only been watching it forever. It's not like you didn't know every episode inside and out that you could go and just nail the impression.
Yeah. I mean, it was a weird year because, Warner Brothers was working on a project with Quincy Jones. Quincy had this character called the Dude, and the Dude was going to be in Harlem, and he was going to meet up with Bugs Bunny. And so, wow, that's really cool. So I got the call from my agent, and she said, you're going out to L.A. and you're going to meet Quincy Jones, and you're going to record a rap with his character, the Dude. And so I'm like, oh, my God, this is so cool. So this is then 1989. So there's no cell phones. So he picks me up in his van, and we get stuck in the Hollywood Hills. And we're there for 2 hours because his driver had to go get a part for the car. I mean, it was the most ridiculous. So I'm in the van with Quincy Jones talking about The Color Purple and how hard it was to get it made. And it was just such a crazy experience. And then when we finally got to the studio, I mean, it was he was just the coolest, smoothest guy. And it was like I had whatever rhythm I had was gone. It was just, I had no rhythm. And he was like, look, Jeff, what you got to do is you got to feel the rhythm and just kind of let it get inside your body and just take over. You know what I'm saying? And you just be the Bugs Bunny that you are, but just feel it. Just get into the groove of it, baby. And the more he was trying to be nice, the worse I got. But I mean, we got through it. But Warner Brothers.
Did you do that impersonation in front of him?
I did not.
Could you imagine?
You should have just leaned over I got what you're saying. Just start doing his voice right back to him, and I think he would have loved it.
Yes. Then he would have loved it. Today, I don't know that I could get away with that.
Today, he would probably have you disappeared. So
yeah.
One other real quick thing, and then we'll move on from into everything else that you were doing, but move on from your college radio stuff. I was looking up some stuff about your college station. I didn't realize this was the station a few years before you was the guy that they based Good Morning Vietnam on.
Oh,
the
really?
guy who Robin Williams was portraying, Adrian Joseph Cronauer.
Adrian Cronauer.
Was where is it through here? Yeah, when they launched that station in 1957, he was one of the founding students and I guess temporary faculty for that radio station. Then went on to be, known for his work and tour of duty over in Vietnam, and that's the guy that Robin Williams was portraying in the movie. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is, but what's interesting is that, Robin Williams you guys saw that movie. He's brilliant in that film. He's so electric. I don't think he was that kind of personality. I mean, he was, but they embellished it a lot,
right?
Just to make it more cinematic, But yeah, that's I think that might be my favorite Robin Williams performance of all time. I just love that.
I love Popeye. I know it's not very well received, but it was like the first movie I saw as a kid, and that Popeye just kind of resonated with me. I know it's not everyone's favorite.
I think with Shelley Duvall's passing, I think a lot of people are now discovering Popeye for the first time. So I think it's going to get a resurgence.
He was great in that too. He was. I heard that he wanted to be in the Harry Potter films, and I think he would have been amazing because he's such a quirky character. But they just didn't want him in that because
he wasn't British.
Rowling said you have to be British, right?
Right.
Yeah. He could have done like if you know John Cleese's role, he was Headless Nicholas.
Oh my God, that would have
Nearly
been
Headless Nick. Yeah,
Nearly Headless Nick. He would have been like great as one of those spirits in essentially their dining hall, their cafeteria, if you will. They're just coming around, hanging out with people in the paintings. All that stuff.
Goats look like Patch Adams.
Yeah, all the paintings are just different Robin Williams movies.
Yeah.
You had some time, as you said, on Tiny Toons, which was definitely a staple for people of our age growing up on, part of Fox's animation thing or whatever they did in the afternoon to watch all the stuff. You were portraying the older characters while everyone else was doing all the younger characters.
Right. Yeah.
Is it weird to have you're like doing the juxtaposition of the characters you're embodying, like you're Bugs, and then there's Buster Bunny right there, the younger guy is essentially, you're like, you don't know, is he Bugs' kid or not? They never really explain if they're the parents.
That's a great question because in those days we all worked together.
Right.
So there was Babs and Buster, and there was me doing the classic characters. And then there was Maurice LaMarche and Frank Welker and Don Messick. They were all doing these new characters. So you didn't know if these kids, the cousins or whatever, you didn't know if it was going to go over. And it was weird hearing them because it's like they kind of sounded like the Looney Tunes family, but not really. So like you didn't really know if it was going to be a hit. But it was fun because we all got to work together. And so much has changed in the industry now where actors don't even see each other. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, they never met until the premiere of Toy Story. They never had scenes together. Weird. It's totally weird. Yeah, because you don't have that person to play off of, So I had a lot of fun doing Tiny Toons, and then now we have Tiny Toons Looniversity,
right?
Which was the reboot,
yeah.
And of course that even more isolated because of the pandemic. I did most of the series in my slippers, in my home studio.
Spielberg was a big name for pushing to get that done, even though it wasn't a property that he was ever associated with or worked on any of that kind of Warner Brothers stuff. But he was really the guy that made that happen for Tiny Toons, and then that begat like Animaniacs and other different Warner Brothers Tales. No, that was Disney, but other different Warner Brothers properties and stuff to come to the fruition of like, hey, we're doing something, we can make some money, and they're being well received by kids in the afternoon when they're coming home from school. He was also at that time pushing and kind of revolutionizing the video game market. Because he was big into video games at that time. So did you get a chance to voice any of these characters when they were doing the video game properties?
I remember meeting Steven Spielberg at I believe it was the wrap of our series, or maybe been the last episode. Oh no, actually, the last episode we recorded of Tiny Toons was the opening episode. They saved that for last so that we would purposely come in really strong. We knew who we are. We had all the characters developed. There was like a synergy between the directors and the actors.
Right.
And so that's when I met him, and and of course it was all over that season. And I said, is everything okay? Am I doing great? He says, you're doing great. Keep up the good work and everything. But I don't ever remember doing I remember doing a Jetsons video game. I remember doing Looney Tunes video games. We didn't have there was like the CD-ROM stuff. I think I did some there. But yeah, I mean, I did the Space Jam Xbox.
Right.
That was kind of fun to do that game. That was just a couple of years ago.
Well, how did you feel about how Tiny Toons got so big that all of a sudden, like, people were just begging to be involved with that universe, with either Animaniacs or with Tiny Toons, that this band, They Might Be Giants, opened their catalog, and you guys did a whole episode that was just storytelling based on their songs for half an hour.
Gosh, I can't. I don't even know if I remember that.
Oh, you don't remember that?
It's like a vague memory. Maybe that was like season 2 or but again, I'm not surprised. Crossovers, trying to mesh worlds. I mean, we had an episode of where we had Snoop Dogg, with Bugs rapping, so but yeah, I mean, everybody started to want to do voiceover. And it's a very difficult industry to get into. It's very hard. I mean, on big projects, film projects, it's celebrities that get usually the first, but then there's the second tier, which are a lot of people like myself that don't have, Tom Cruise notoriety. And that's very competitive. Maybe there's 60 people that do everything,
You've worked with a lot of big names. I mean, just that little roster for Tiny Toons. We've had Maurice LaMarche on the show. We're good friends with Rob Paulson, so they're always joined at the hip most of the time for Pinky and the Brain. And I'm trying to think who else you worked with. Billy West, right?
I've worked with Billy West, absolutely.
Jim Cummings, I saw that video recently that blew up on Instagram and stuff.
I love Jim Cummings so much.
Who doesn't?
Super talented.
Darkwing Duck. He's so great.
Who haven't you worked with that you wanted to work with?
Oh my God. Okay. Simpsons. Dan Castellaneta. I haven't worked with him. Harry Shearer. I'm huge fans of both of them. Nancy Cartwright. I mean, I've met Nancy. I never actually met Dan Castellaneta. He's like a volcano, he's like this quiet, diminutive guy. And then once you get him, he's doing voices, he's like explodes. So yeah, definitely those guys. I mean, I never got to work with Mel. I met him, obviously. I did work with Don Messick, who was the voice of Scooby-Doo. And Don was like this stealth bomber, never said anything. But when that mic went on, explosion. But the voice people are like that. I find,
when you all get together, is it just like, are you happy to be around like-minded individuals where you go,
No.
we're not doing the voices here, right? Nope, we're all good, and everyone's just having coffee or dinner.
If I hear one Bugs Bunny,
you're out of here, Bergman.
No, everybody's trying to get the spotlight. Everybody's trying to outdo each other.
Oh, they are.
Oh, totally. Yeah, we can't stop. I mean, we're all just wired that way. Nobody can get a word in edgewise. I mean, that's, you know.
What's going on in that part of the restaurant, that back room of the restaurant there? I don't know, but I think the Cartoon Network's having a fight. They're all just yelling at each other.
Right. It's like, hey, the entire cast of Who Framed Roger Rabbit's back there, just yelling at each other.
Talk about what started it all. If it wasn't for Roger Rabbit, we wouldn't have had the '90s animation. Asian. Yeah, that started everything. That still to this day maybe my favorite animated film.
Something you'll never see, at least right now, you'll never see again, where two major well, actually, you know what? That could be incorrect. Two major companies, the biggest identities for animated works, Disney and Warner Brothers, worked together to make a movie where they were allowing their IP to interact like they were all in the same universe. Right. I was just saying, it's like you haven't seen anything like that since, and probably wouldn't again. But they just bundled HBO Max with Disney Plus now, so who knows? Maybe those doors are back open again, and they'll work on something. Maybe Roger Rabbit 2 is in the works.
That would be so great. I mean, Daniel Ross he does Donald Duck, and so he's got to be very careful about where he does the voice. And I said, come on, Daniel, I should do a Daffy to your Donald. And he's like, I really want to do that, but I don't know. They're particular. Nancy Cartwright couldn't do Bart Simpson for a long time. She wasn't allowed to say anything, and then she could say eat my shorts or whatever her line was.
I saw a video of her the other day. She's going through drive-thrus at Starbucks, and she's ordering coffee orders as Bart, and then she pull up, and everyone's like, oh my God, it's the person who does the voice.
I saw her at a food truck doing that. I was like, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so
if I had that talent, I'd be doing it everywhere.
Yeah. Well, they loosened up after years. I mean, originally, I think Matt Groening and James L. Brooks it spoils the illusion if we see the person do the voice. But
that's that's old way of doing business. And in some ways that is the right way to look at some stuff. But look, if wrestling got rid of what they call kayfabe, where they don't have to protect the characters in the business that way anymore, it's like, no, if you're in the airport and a kid comes running up to you, even though you're the big bad heel right now, you take a photo, you shake a hand, you be a human being first, and then put smiles on their faces for doing what you do, and then you can go in the ring and then kick 9 guys in the head and be the bad guy again. I like that they do that now. It's not like they're just stumbling into Target and just doing all their voices over the intercom or something.
That'd be hilarious.
But if you run up to them, almost all the voice people are pretty nice.
Well, there's the only person I recently was in Dallas doing the Fan Expo there, and who was there? William Shatner. He's like 93.
Yeah.
So
he does one voice. He's hardly a voice actor.
Right. He's hardly right. You wouldn't say that. But we actually were in a project together. He did Batman versus Two-Face. And I played the Cesar Romero Joker role in that, and then reprised the Batman announcer role in that. So I thought, all right, this is my shot to meet Shatner. He's sitting there all alone. He's on his phone. The only person that's near him is his handler. And so I went up, Mr. Shatner, I'm just a huge fan. I just wanted to say you did a great job in Batman versus Two-Face as Two-Face. And, I went through my spiel. I did it, got it out in 20 seconds. And he went, that's nice. And that's it.
That's disheartening.
I don't want to meet him. I don't, because it's like one of those things, like I love Star Trek and all that. And it's like, sometimes you just don't want to meet your heroes.
Yeah, and I thought, oh man, now I'm reading his book, Boldly Go, and I'm like, now I don't want to read the rest of it now. I bought that book and he wasn't super friendly, but anyway, he's in his 90s.
I know how it ends with me being disappointed.
Or how it is in my world. Did you get the photo? Did you get a photo with Mr. Shatner?
I got a photo, several of them, eating cheese and different.
It's amazing.
Different snacks.
He just raids catering whenever he shows up on set.
Yeah, not with him, but I took photos of him.
I found another little tidbit that's interesting, because we had talked about how you got on the Jetsons project because of George and Mel had passed away. You also got another gig from somebody passing away, where you took over the voice of the Pillsbury Doughboy.
that is I love that you brought this up because it is not true, but it never seems to go away. I auditioned for it, Hi, I'm Poppin' Fresh, the Pillsbury Doughboy. Pillsbury crescent rolls have so much butter flavor, they're hard to forget. And when I auditioned for it, people, oh my God, that's great. And I sent my tape in, and then it was in the papers that Jeff Bergman's going to be the new voice of the Pillsbury Doughboy. Leo Burnett, advertising agency. I don't know. This just got spun into a yarn, but it never really happened. But I did become the voice of Charlie the Tuna for Starkist, which was kind of around the same time, sort of. So it's sort of half true, half not true.
All right, because the
not
information,
like the noise you make when you poke your belly. Like, did they just not be cool with that portion of it? Because it sounded great.
That was the audition. He walks into a room. There's just a camera and a black couch, and they just keep poking his stomach, making him do the laugh over and over.
It's like, no, sorry, you're gonna have to get out.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's very funny with the laugh. They were so specific. I remember with that. No, it's not 2 giggles. It's just one. It's just.
It's very specific.
It's very specific. They know what they want.
They're very protective of their IP.
That's right.
All right, so you got that on your own merit. It was not because Paul Frees had died in 1986 and then you got that job too. Because otherwise, I'm following Jeff around for auditions because Jeff seems to get everybody who's knocking off. Jeff gets the job. So eventually he's going to pass on one, and then I'll go and apply for that one.
Well, my father used to have a joke that whenever I was working on a voice, he was like, "Oh God, I hope they don't die," because that's what, and that's what would happen. I'd work on a voice and that person would die, and I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that anymore." I don't want that responsibility.
It was just your path in life, my friend. That was just the talents you were given, and that was the path that they laid out for you. You got to do something else really interesting. Was from what I read, there's 2 different stories on this. You did the voices of Bugs and Daffy and Porky for a clip that was in Gremlins 2: The New Batch.
Yes.
Was that from an actual property you worked on, or was that made specifically for that movie?
Okay. My favorite question so far that you've asked me. That was one of my coolest jobs ever in 42 years. I was directed for that title sequence by the Chuck Jones.
Wow.
And
I know.
I want to tell you, that was a masterclass in voice direction. And it's like, this is your captain speaking. You have the best possible captain to take you wherever you need to go. And he was the most incredible. I mean, he created Daffy Duck, so he knows these characters. And he had storyboards for 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes of dialogue that were like, encyclopedic, that was that thick. We went through every storyboard, every emotion, and he even made like physical gestures with Bugs and Daffy. So I had such a visual sense of it. And it's still one of my most favorite things that I've done with the Looney Tunes. But yeah, he got, I think I'm probably, I would say no, I'm not probably. I'm the only person alive that was directed by Chuck, the original creator. So that was amazing.
His galleries are fantastic. We'll be in San Diego next week doing the show. I want to go back over to the Chuck. I haven't been there in a few years. I'd love to go back over to the Chuck Jones gallery over there.
It's super cool. I was there last year for a Comic-Con and stopped by the gallery. And Joel, who runs the gallery, I mean, they have some super cool, amazing cells. They even have stuff that Bob Clampett did and Robert McKimson. They just have. And
I'm sure there's like a Tex Avery thing somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure there is. Yeah, completely. It's just to go there and just to see that artwork. And it's like when you would do animation years ago, and I would get cells. You would get a cell. And it was like an original stuff from the production. Well, they don't do that anymore. There's no cells anymore.
I'm a lifetime Simpsons fan. As a kid, I was sneaking to watch the Tracy Ullman show just to see the little shorts that they had, and then they spun off their own thing. And you can't see it, but on the other side of the studio over there, I have a Simpsons couch gag animation cell. And I had that framed. It's behind UV museum glass. Like nothing is touching that thing. It's about as secure as the Constitution. And you're right. You just can't get those things anymore. And it's kind of sad because now they can print them out and sell them, but you're not getting the official layer of the artwork that they had to stack 6, 7 on a time just to get to capture a scene in a room.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're going to increase, but now, what the big thing now are these Funkos. I mean, I've signed so many of them. They'll have Space Jam, Bugs Bunny Funko, Fred Flintstone Funko. I mean, those things, they are serious collectibles.
Oh yeah. We got tons.
You got tons.
Nice. Believe me, sir, we're not new to this game. I have ones that are signed by all kind. Like, I must have broken Rob Paulson's hand for all the characters he did, and
I've got a Bugs Bunny that I think came with one of the Blu-ray sets that came out. So they did like a Blu-ray set, and then mine came with like a Funko of Bugs Bunny. So yeah, they're just everywhere.
Yeah,
With everything.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why or how. That's a whole other subject matter, I guess. Yeah.
I heard that they're the precious moments for people in their 40s like us. So, those little precious moments like the praying kids and things like that. No, that's what these are.
Yeah, if you didn't collect those dishes or spoons or thimbles or stuff to hang on the wall, this is what our generation has been collecting.
Oh my gosh.
You're currently a lot of your current work. You do rotating characters for the world of Seth MacFarlane, who is pretty much today's modern version of Hanna-Barbera. With Family Guy, when Cleveland Show was on, American Dad, which I still think is still generating episodes.
21 years. I just read something that they're doing their 21st year or 21st season.
I mean, Seth was, he got into animation because of the Flintstones. And so when he heard that I was Fred, he would have me come in. And I remember one time there was no dialogue. I thought, where's the script? And he says, you don't have a script. You're in the bathroom and you're just taking a dump. That's it. And all I want you to do is I want you to struggle. That's it. And so I didn't see him. He was on the phone. He was, I don't know, in New York somewhere directing me. And I'm in Los Angeles. And I just went, and I silence. I don't hear anything. And he is laughing so hard that he's wheezing. And then I finally hear him. And all he said afterwards was, do it again. Do it again. Because he just want to hear it again. And so that, I don't know where, that's somewhere.
Taking a yabba dabba dump.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, I mean, people love that kind of stuff. And I know he wanted to do a series. And Warner Brothers was not going to have a potty, Fred Flintstone. They weren't going to do that. But he was like, Jeff, I want you to do it. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be great. I mean, maybe next to that, probably my favorite job was when I did Our Cartoon President. And I got to do, Trump and Biden. I mean, that was just, it was cathartic. It was just the best experience.
It's just, instead of screaming about it on social media, you're getting paid to scream about it in an animated form and make some money off of it. Jordan, what do you have?
I just, for me, Gremlins was the big thing. Like, I was a big fan of Gremlins growing up, the first one. Just to find out that the animated stuff for the second one was made specifically for that was such a wild thing. Like, because, you can, in the first one they had Snow White and they're watching it. It's like, okay, that's an existing property. You just get the rights, you bring it over. But for them to create something specific for it, I find just absolutely fascinating. Like, I love movies. I love voice work probably more than most. I went to a gaming convention here in Phoenix, probably back in March, and just to meet people that create that core thing, because you could be 1,000 people. You don't have to be boxed into this one character. You've got Shatner, who is always going to be, Picard. Just kidding. Yeah, screw him. But you know what I mean? You're not typecast. You can be anybody. Yeah, and you can retain the anonymity of being able to go out, being able to go to a restaurant and not be mobbed by people. And I would think that would be something great, and something that can be something that you can have to yourself. You have that moment, and now you can be a person on the outside of it. And I just find it fascinating.
And honestly, the sometimes you do something and you never know it's going to happen.
Right.
You don't even know if it's going to be like when you mentioned Gremlins 2. There was a bunch of ad lib stuff that I had done, and it ended up in the movie. If you remember going to the end of the movie, Daffy peeks in on the screen while the credits are rolling, and he said, "Don't you people have homes? Go home. It's over. It's over." And I don't know. We were just like goofing around at the end of the set, and that ends up being animated in the film, and that was like amazing. Stuff like that. I remember when I became the announcer for Boomerang, I never thought it was anything other than just a job. And then my wife said, "You should make a video out of that on TikTok." And I did, and people were freaking out.
Yeah, you were the voice for like 15 years for that.
Yeah.
When networks still had a main anchor voice, like other than you, Jordan and I were talking about this the other day. Other than you with Boomerang, one of the voices that always stuck in my head was Penn Jillette as the voice of Comedy Central in the early days, like through the 90s when it launched. Yeah. Every segue between shows and promos and everything was all Penn Jillette's voice.
Yeah.
And then your voice comes around, it was like 2000 or something, right? For when Boomerang started?
Actually, earlier. It was 90, I think it was 96. So all the people that know me, they're in their late 20s because they would come home from school and watch Boomerang. And so some guy was in Pittsburgh came up to me and he was almost in tears. He had to Zen calm himself down. And then when I just said to him, Boomerang, it's all coming back to you. The Flintstones and the Jetsons on Boomerang. I mean, he was so emotional about it. I never expected that. It really hits a nerve, in that generation.
It's hitting a nerve now, just because I'm like, I remember, because it's a voice that you're not. It's not a voice that you think of remembering, like a voice of Bugs or Fred or something, but that voice was always playing because you were watching that channel all the time, and then to hear that and you go, wait a minute, I know that voice. You can hear him in a restaurant, you could hear him at an airport. You may not know what the guy looks like, but you damn well know what that voice is and how powerful just like an audio suggestion really is.
Crazy. Yeah. I to this day. And my wife said to me, "Oh, no, I think people are going to really like that. Put that out. You'll see." And she was right. I mean, I got hundreds of thousands of comments. It was insane.
You'd be surprised how much nostalgia goes a long way nowadays with people, especially in our age. Like we'll sit there and we'll talk at night together and we'll go over just commercials that we remember growing up with and songs and
something. We'll say something and one word, one term triggers something, a memory, and you go, oh wait, yeah.
You don't. I mean, you guys would probably know this because you're around this. My wife's in your age group, where I became the voice of Barney Rubble for Fruity Pebbles. So watch me trick Fred out of his Cocoa Pebbles. I mean, I don't know. I did that for about 20 years. And Fred is still being tricked out. He still hasn't figured it out.
I was going to say that's a property, and I've questioned this numerous times, especially recently with kids of my own. I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they have never just taken to some of the cartoons I've shown them. I'm always wondering who is still buying Fruity Pebbles, that it's a kid, and who is still taking Flintstones chewables. Because no kid nowadays has watched any of these properties. My mom grew up with the Flintstones in the 60s, and I grew up because of it, watching the Flintstones and the Jets. And so that makes sense to me. My kids, like, who are the Flintstones? And I feel bad that I've not done a better parenting job. But, like, it's just wild that you're still doing those voices for things like even, like, the Flintstones and, like, what was it, the WWE? Like doing mashup videos, like how wild is that to still be able to do those characters and try to bring them into 2023, 2024? It's such a wild thing.
It's bizarre because when you walk down the cereal aisle and you see, there's Fred and Barney on the Post Pebbles box, but yet there's no animated series, so the kids don't really know. It's like, those are, I guess, characters that are for that cereal, whoever they are. I mean, it's so funny.
They're put into a category like the Trix Rabbit or Toucan Sam or something like that. You're just known from being the cereal box, and you go, no, this show goes back like 60 years.
Right. It's 200 episodes. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, like when I was a kid, I loved Hawaiian Punch. And then years later, I became the guy that took over for that character. So that was me that said, hey, how about a nice Hawaiian Punch? Fruit juicy. There's 7 kinds of fruit in Hawaiian Punch. 7 kinds of fruit in Hawaiian Punch.
I'm starting to think the 742 might be the right amount of voices that we thought of.
We're getting close.
Going, please do more. I'm
hitting the hand clicker as we go.
Yeah.
The Hawaiian Punch thing. You didn't. When did you take over that voice? Do you know about what year?
Yeah. Early 90s.
Okay. There is one Hawaiian Punch ad that I know, the older ones, when it used to come in the big metal container and you'd have to puncture it like High C and Kool-Aid and stuff.
Yes,
but there was one in the 90s where they kind of did a weird rap version of the Hawaiian Punch.
Oh my God.
So it's like the song just goes something at a hunch with the funky dude in antlers from Hawaiian Punch, and the guy goes Hawaiian Punch like he's pontificating. Should I drink Hawaiian Punch? I don't know why that always stuck in my head, but you were the one doing the voices on that.
Yes.
Killing me.
Yes.
Jeff, I didn't realize how much I valued you in my life until today, but here we are now, just realizing, damn, Jeff has been a big part of a lot of our lives with the work that he has done.
Almost to be where like a weekly segment should be Jeff comes on and reminds us how much we miss our childhood. Just like,
remember when times were better? Remember the things you used to love?
Yeah, the remember stuff. I do have a question. So you said that at some point you transitioned to where you're not really in the same room with a lot of people. You did a series that many people probably don't know. And this is just some of the cast. Norm Macdonald was in this show. Fred Armisen, things like that. You did a few episodes of the Mike Tyson Mysteries.
I did several. Mm-hmm.
Did you get to work with any of the cast in person? Did you meet Mike Tyson? Or was this one of those, at this point, you guys had transitioned to where you came in, did your bit, and then you're out?
Wow. Well,
'cause I love that show. It's such a
We had
show.
Tyson on the show. He was promoting a bunch of different things at that time, but we had him on for Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Oh my God! Well, first of all, out of all the interviews I've ever done, no one's ever asked me about that show. And
love that show.
I first of all, that show is very special to me in particular because the writers that wrote that show wrote the Looney Tunes show, which is where I first met them, and they're from the Groundlings, and they would go to Vegas to record Mike because he lived in Las Vegas. I got to not only work with a little bit, I got to be a little friendly with Norm Macdonald. And I think Norm is just a year older, 6 months older than me. We knew all the same people that from SNL because I did a show that was like my first big gig in '84, and it was for Lorne Michaels. He did a show called The New Show. And when he had left, and
I was going to say that was in that transition where he had left SNL, huh?
Right, just that very short period of time. And so, but anyhow, Norm was, he was so special and so, there was no one like him. I don't know what category you could put Norm in, but he just was, I just loved him. And I only got to know him a little bit, but yeah, that super fun show. I mean, the stuff that they did was just so different. And I remember asking the writers, like, are you scared to work with Mike? And they went, oh my God, he's a pussycat, but you
gotta tread lightly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to, because I'll never forget. I remember somebody had asked him, Mike, what's your strategy? When you're fighting an opponent you've never fought before, he said, well, the thing is that, when me is, when I'm going to Bing, I like to know who I just want to know who the referee is because I'm going to kill the other guy. And, and then I just heard a meme. He was just talking like, I'm scared right now. I'm really scared. I'm really scared. I'm scared. But when it gets closer to the fight, I'm not as scared because, and then the day of the fight, when I get in the ring, you're going to be afraid of me. You're going to be scared of me. I'm not going to be scared of you. And you believe him. I mean, you believe him.
The show I used to work on was nationally syndicated for like 20 years. It was on satellite radio and stuff. We were in every market except LA. LA would never clear a station to put us on there. But one of the guys I worked with, Anthony, used to do an amazing Mike Tyson impression. So much that eventually it did get back to Mike. So the first time he came on, he wanted to see the guy who was doing the Mike impression. Because he's like, I will not sit out here and suffer the wounds and the slanders from all these alligators that are being thrust against me. And you're like, oh my God. Anthony was just amazing at doing the voice. And when Tyson came in the first time, he's like, I want to hear you do it. So
oh no,
that's very but it was great that he loved it because he came back several more times.
Like, come and do me.
Yeah, he came back for that. He came back. He had a pigeon series that was on like the Travel Channel for a while. Then he had the one.
Right, he did have that.
And then he had the one man documentary show, the one man storytelling show that he was doing. When we were in San Diego one year and Mike Tyson's Mysteries were coming out. Cartoon Network had taken the lawn outside of the convention center and made their own like little amusement park. And some of the prizes that you could get were Mike Tyson face koozies for your soda and for your beer. So I have them upstairs. I should have brought them down to show you, but they were some of the most ridiculous things that he approved because he loved the idea. And I just you just slide a can of seltzer in there and you're walking around and it looks almost like his 8-bit face from the Mike Tyson Punch-Out.
Right.
They really, for a show that a lot of people remember but was loved by the ones who did see it, they put out an enormous amount of merch for that show for its short run.
Well, it ran for 6 years and had like 69 episodes. Like,
there's a lot of episodes. I get to do like crazy characters. Like they came to me and they said, we need you to do like an L. Ron Hubbard. And I'm like, right now I can do it. But that was so fun to do him. And then to just listen, because, as actors, we have to listen to voices and, YouTube things. And I just remember the gradations and the systematic, the system people. Nothing that he said was nothing articulate. I could not glean anything from what he said from all the interviews that I watched. And I was hysterical laughing. And so that episode is one of my favorites because it's just, you don't know what he's talking about.
Sounds like Mitch McConnell now that I'm thinking about it.
I was going to say that did sound like a lot like Mitch McConnell. Which actually leads me into something. Do you find it's harder to emulate somebody or create your own character? Because I'm a video gamer and I know you from being Ronald Reagan in Call of Duty, Black Ops. Yeah. And it's, to me, it just feels like because you have a template to follow, it might be easier, but I don't know.
It's easier and harder. That was very hard because I did the motion cap for that Call of Duty. So we were on a soundstage and I had to walk out. So when you see me sitting, it's me in the chair, even though it's Reagan. And so I had to, be the physicality of being very presidential in these United States of America and had to gesture as Ronald Reagan. And so I had to kind of like crazily embody that. And, it's like with a voice that everybody knows, if you don't sound like that, the trolls will come after you. No, that's not him. That doesn't sound like him. So in one sense, it's harder because people have whatever it is that they remember Bugs Bunny sounds like or Ronald Reagan sounds like. Now, creating a character, that's so fun because there's nothing to compare it to. So if you get to do that, my God, that's, it's incredible, So in a sense, it's harder because in a way you have nothing to work from except the animator says, well, he's a fat guy, and he's got an Irish accent with a big belly. And so maybe you get something like that. And then you're just hopefully working like Simpsons. Like when you watch season 1 and 2, it doesn't sound like Homer. It's like a different guy.
He's still doing he's still leaning towards the Walter Matthau before becoming, the Homer that we know and love to this day. I want to ask you something about getting the mantle for Looney Tunes. Such an amazing an unprecedented feat to take over from the great Mel Blanc. But then there's been other people who are also doing Bugs. I know Billy West was doing Bugs for a while, and there's other legendary voice people coming in to do Looney Tunes projects. So do you have a say at that time of what projects you want to work on, or are they working on so many different things? It's like, well, you're working on this. We're going to have Billy come over here and voice Bugs for this thing, and then we're going to have this guy come over there and do that.
It depends. Like for Tiny Toons, because I was the original voice for Tiny Toons for Bugs Bunny and Daffy and Elmer, I got to do a lot. I get to reprise a lot of those roles for the reboot version in 2021, 22. Space Jam, honestly, I had to audition for it because it wasn't just Warner Brothers. It was, the directors, the producers, the writers, the animation execs. And honestly, I was up against some other people, but I was up against some celebrities because they were actually going to have it with a possible celebrity voice.
A celebrity voicing Bugs?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Can you tell?
Dumb.
Yeah. It was, there was a line and I went, wait a second. Because they played me something and they said, well, we don't want you to do that line. We want you to do the line afterwards. And I went, God, that sounds like Nathan Lane coming out of Bugs Bunny's mouth. I think.
Wow.
And I knew, no one ever said that, but I knew it was Nathan Lane. I remember when I told my mother I was gay, she said, oh, you're better off dead. It was, I knew it was his voice. And so I thought, my God, are they just going to go in a completely different direction? And I went, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the Bugs Bunny that is in my head that I know, that I grew up with. And that was it. So they weighed in, and I don't know, it was about a year before they let me know that I got it. And that was...
Man, imagine you're auditioning for a job and you're thinking all right, they're going to go through all the voice talent. It'll take a couple weeks, but I'll hear something. You're waiting a year before they're like, hey, you got the job. What job?
Yeah.
You remember coming in for this? I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what happened the first time when I auditioned for Bugs. I made a tape and got it to Warner Brothers, and they went, "Well, this is great, but we're not going to give him the job." And so then they had national auditions, and then it was like, well, okay, so you got to make a cassette tape. I made a cassette tape in those days, and it was just a cassette of Bugs Bunny. And then I had another audition for Elmer Fudd, and so on and so forth. And so it was like a laborious kind of a process. And then you have callbacks. So then they want to see, oh, did you do anything weird? Did you alter the voice? They want to make sure you can do it. So, then they have a callback, So it sometimes it can be a really lengthy process until you get anything,
So you know other people, other very credible and very talented voice people who it's like, well, they do Bugs, I do Bugs, they do Looney Tunes guys and stuff. So imagine there's no kind of rivalry, right? Is it as who's going to get what?
Oh, I think there's a rivalry.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah! I mean, if you want that gig, you got to show up with your A game, and you got to give it everything you got, and hope you get it. I mean, it doesn't always go your way, but you try.
You go in, you talk to the casting agents, you're shit talking the other people in other character voices. Let me tell you about Billy West. It's like, man, Sylvester hates Billy West. It's really a thing.
Foghorn Leghorn is a jerk.
At one time, this is actual reverse story of you guys who do voice work, where you get recognized from hearing your voice and not so much as being recognized in public based on just somebody recognizing what you look like. I had the exact opposite experience with a legendary voice talent that I knew him from a television show that he was on currently. I was a little kid. We were at the airport, and I recognized this guy from a show called Out of This World, and his name is Joe Alasky.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I was telling my dad, I was like, that's the guy from Out of This World. If you don't know Out of This World, it was about a teenage girl who had alien powers and she could stop time by doing this and clap and hit her hands and whatever. And he plays her uncle in the show. So it was kind of cool. We got to say hi to him. He was very nice. And then found out later as I got a little older that he was the voice of all these other people. Like he was a legendary voice guy that I had zero idea did any voices. I just knew him from a sitcom as a kid.
And then I knew him the reverse way. I met him on Tiny Toons when he sat next to me and did the voice of Plucky Duck.
Wow.
That's so crazy.
Very talented guy, yeah.
He was my dad said he used to see him on there was an old show called Stand Up Spotlight that used to be hosted by Rosie O'Donnell on VH1, and Joe was featured on there now and then, and my dad used to tell me that Joe used to do a great Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason, yeah.
Like, yeah, he was built for the part, you know.
I was gonna say he looked like he could play like a younger Jackie Gleason.
Yeah, he had the physicality of it, which was very impressive. And he did like some other like interesting oddball. Like he did a Don Knotts that was really funny. Like, I mean, he was able to look like him. I don't know. He did something with his eyes. I mean, I do a Don Knotts, but I don't really resemble him, you know.
It doesn't matter if you resemble him. Can you do? Nobody does a Don Knotts voice anymore. Could you please do some Don Knotts for us?
Well, Andy, you know the way Hilda May is. Andy Otis is going to get in trouble again. He's a big drunk, Andy. You've got to stop Otis, Andy. Well,
now do Don Knotts from Incredible Mr. Limpet, one of my favorite movies.
The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Love it. I wish I were a fish.
I wish I were a fish.
It's one of my favorites, and no one knows it. And I say that I wish I were a fish line to my kids, and they look at me like I'm speaking like gibberish, and I'm just like, I need to find that movie to watch. Like, have you watch what a good live action cartoon movie is?
Yeah, see, if you don't get your kids when they're young, if you don't introduce them to those characters, forget it.
Get new kids, I guess.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm seeing something in the chat here. Just want to bring this up here from Lucy Moody. What's the most coveted voice for you guys out there? What's the biggest voice that everyone's tried to get the job for?
Well, I would have to say the Rabbit Dog.
Fred Flintstone, that was a big voice.
Wow.
Do you think it might be Batman now since Kevin Conroy passed?
Oh, wow. I didn't think of that. No, I don't think, you know, I'll tell you what, when Harry Shearer said he wasn't going to come back to The Simpsons unless he got more money, I know everybody was working on those characters. And then of course he, you know, settled.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of a big thing. I mean, look, it's kind of weird, you know, when an actor is in a negotiation and maybe they do want more money and maybe they're deserving of it, to go in and to audition, you know, for somebody that created a voice that's doing it now. I personally don't feel comfortable with that. You know, if somebody's deceased, it's different. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough, I guess whatever voice, you know, in the moment that they really need, you know, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to audition for it. And now you've got people making YouTube videos and, you know, TikTok videos and getting roles from doing that, you know. It's crazy. People always ask me, well, how do you get into the industry? I said, well, start making videos, you know, people watch these things.
It must be nice now where, you know, it was such a difficult and coveted position to get any kind of voice work like that, because there was only so many outlets out there that were doing anything with animation. If it wasn't for commercials, you had, you know, Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers and Disney. That was like pretty much the big places to go to. Now you have DreamWorks and, you know, Netflix, you know, licenses and puts things together, and then Disney and Warner Brothers have fully expanded past what they were even doing now. One of our favorite shows is the Harley Quinn animated series, because it's just taking old characters or not lesser known characters, putting them in the same universe, and just, to quote the term, fucking around and finding out. You know, like they're not following the traditional rules for animation anymore. The dialogue is sometimes it's Seinfeld, sometimes it's Venture Brothers, sometimes they're it's like, well, the action's cool and all, but you're watching it to hear the dialogue. Like, they've reversed the whole process. Like, if you miss anything, you've missed a big chunk of what's going on, because it's either very important to what's happening, or it's such a throwaway comment that it's hilarious.
Well, I mean, case in point, Jellystone. I don't know if either of you have seen that series where they take the Hanna-Barbera characters and bring them all together, from Top Cat to, and I play Yogi Bear, yay, and Wally Gator, and
I love Wally Gator. What a character!
Swing an alligator. And then Jinx the cat, I play on that, I get them Mises. And I mean, it's so much fun to have a scene with Top Cat and Wally Gator and Yogi and Augie Doggy and Daddy Doggy. They've just brought all these Hanna-Barbera characters together, but it's very fast paced. I mean, the show really moves. It's not like the 60s where, it took 15 minutes for Yogi to trick Ranger Smith.
Hanna-Barbera has always been, and then whoever absorbed the Hanna-Barbera licenses has always been pretty ahead of that, like because you did voices on Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
I love
and that was another, essentially you're at a bus station and all the different characters are coming in and out of the office because of some legal issue, and Harvey, who was played I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Was it Gary Cole?
Yeah.
Did Harry?
Yeah,
all right.
Right.
So, he would be the main attorney. He had the crazy boss. And then today was, Shaggy got arrested on marijuana charges, so he's got to defend that. And then the next episode is something about Huckleberry Hound might have been a peeping Tom, so he's doing... But they're playing within that world. It's like, we got all these characters. Let's just break the walls down and have them just do weird stuff all the time. And I think it kind of rejuvenated that style of animation.
Oh, yeah, I think so. And I mean, look, Seth MacFarlane, I don't know that anyone does it really better than him. I mean, he's a little naughty, but, it invigorates the characters. It introduces them to kids of a new generation, because I don't know if kids can handle, like the old. I mean, I could just see my kids trying to listen to watch Mr. Magoo. I just, that's not going to happen.
No, it's too slow. It's too.
Yeah,
it's almost mind numbing at this point. Even though you have an appreciation for it, it's like I can't sit there and watch it. Cartoon Network used to be good with taking shots at those old commercials in a humorous way. They used to. They took a soul coughing song called Circles. And all it was just scenes of Fred and Barney walking, and you would just see the background move, and there was the window, there was the television, there's that window again, there's the television, oh, there's the couch, because they just kept repeating the background. And the whole video, the song's playing, and it's just them walking as the scenery is repeating for like 3 minutes. Nobody did that in the late 90s, like the breaking down that kind of fourth wall and letting you see how some of this stuff worked. And they go, they're making fun of the thing they're highlighting on this network here, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it was very subtle. If you got it, I always thought, animated-wise, it was always fun to see the back of Fred and Barney's head, because their hair was like really small and their necks were so fat.
Yeah, they would do weird stuff like that, and then you go back even further to like when this stuff originated, even when they were still in black and white in the 60s.
Yeah.
They did cigarette ads. Like, because these were airing in prime time for adults. They were not meant for kids at the time, just like the old Looney Tunes reels were just supposed to be back in the day when you would go to the movie theater to watch the newsreel, a couple of films, entertainment stuff, it was like everything in one shot going to the movies. And the Looney Tunes cartoons from back then, even some of the Disney ones back then, referencing World War II and all that stuff, those were for the adults. They weren't for the kids. And then the crossover happened where it became more about the kids than the adults. They were doing smoking. They were doing liquor ads. They were doing car ads. You're like, wow, man, Fred and Barney get around.
Well, that was so funny because my brother and I often laugh about the old Lucky Strike commercials. LSMFT, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco flavor. And when the announcer said it, it was like, oh my God, I'll be lucky if I smoke a Lucky. I'll get lucky. I'll be lucky if I smoke a Lucky Strike.
They really talked you into stuff. Like I listened to the old the Shadow radio programs from like the 30s and the 40s, and just the guy talks about blue coal, and I'm like, yeah, I really need coal for my stove and all this stuff. Like they really they really had that going. And yeah, eventually later on into the 40s, they started doing the cigarettes and the alcohol and things like that. But yeah, it was such a lost art. They don't do that much anymore.
No. And you think kids today, where are they getting most of their entertainment? They're scrolling on TikTok. And so they don't see ads. I remember I did a post and it was, it was just Captain Crunch because it was my favorite cereal as a kid. And so Captain Crunch cereal. I know with new crunch berries and strawberries. Oh, Captain Crunch.
Stays crunchy in milk.
Yeah. And some guy commented, he said, my God, hearing that voice, I could feel the roof of my mouth getting
ripped apart. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still my favorite cereal. Like I'll eat that right now.
It's the best.
Everyone says, "Oh my God, peanut butter Captain Crunch is the best out of all of them." Yeah, but everyone had the same line. It's like, "How bad was your throat after you?" Oh yeah, it was terrible. You're like, "Yeah, I ate 2 bowls, but it's still, I couldn't eat anything the rest of the day."
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And of course, I never tried Fruity Pebbles, and it's like I'm doing Fruity Pebbles after all these years. Here I am, the voice of Barney. It's like I don't know, it's about 17 years. And they brought a box of Pebbles to the recording session once, and I thought, oh my God, that's what it looks like. Oh, it just looks like little shredded pieces of wood that are colored.
Right.
It looks like mulch outside of a restaurant.
So I just took a handful and I went, oh my God, this doesn't feel like I'm eating anything. But it was good. I mean, it was, and that's when the 90s, when they had to lower the sugar content from like 20 grams to like 13.
Yeah.
Which, by today's standard is still a lot, Yeah,
they lowered the sugar count, but they upped the aspartame and all the artificial sweeteners with it. So, yeah, you're not getting diabetes, but you might get cancer. Who knows?
That's right. It's a trade-off. Yeah.
Jeff, thank you for sitting here. I didn't realize how long we've been going.
I was going to say, holy moly.
You've given up way too much of your time to us. We are forever indebted to you, sir. Thank you for doing this. Let's do your plugs again one more time so everybody can see your virtual signing and get in on that action.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. I'm doing my first live signing on Whatnot this Saturday, August the 3rd, 11 a.m. PST. And to find out any more information about it, go to OCCelebrityMarketing.com. And there you have it.
And then give him a follow on all the social medias there for Instagram, TikTok, and his YouTube channel at Jeff Bergman Official. Go there, follow all of those things, and he's a very lovely individual. If you chat him up there, I'm sure he'll chat you back and try to answer whatever he can with your questions about the fun world of animation. Jeff, again, thank you so much for taking out a big chunk of your time here for sitting and talking to two guys who value this stuff nowadays. People don't,
big
but
part of my childhood.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. Like we talk a big game like that, but like you have touched everything that I grew up watching, have been a part of, and it's wonderful. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, well, thank you both. This has been so much fun.
And this isn't the usual setting, so we won't do it now. But every time we've had other voice people on, they've cut an ID for the show. And we've had like Billy West, Robert Paulson, Maurice LaMarche, Ben Edlund, the original Tick, if you remember him.
Oh yeah,
from the Fox days. We've had a whole bunch of people. Maybe if you'd be kind enough, I'll send something over to you, and if you could record something, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'll do a few voices absolutely for you. Sure, whatever you guys want.
Jeff, we love you. Thank you so much. Have a good time this weekend. Go over to Whatnot, sign up there, watch and talk to Jeff, and then go buy some of his merchandise that he has for you. You won't be disappointed.
And that's all, folks.
We should just end the show. I don't have to do a segment 2. We could be done. That's it for me. That's perfect.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. How fantastic is that?
Fuck, I love that.
Amazing.
So
I love when we get a chance to talk to guys like that. They come
the second
on
he
here.
does any of the voices, it hits me right in that nostalgic zone, and I'm just like, I could listen to you talk like this for an hour. Like, do the line, do the show. Like, I don't want to the dance monkey type situation.
I forget we're doing this show. I just looked over at the counter. I'm like, oh my God, we've been on here for an hour.
Now for 20 minutes.
I'm just sitting here like we're having a conversation. It's like, I need to ask him everything I need to ask him about everything he's ever done.
Oh, I could have gone the list and just gone down everything and been like, remember that one time he did this? And then just listen.
Jared the Geek in the chat. Thanks, Jeff. Great guest. Yeah, I love when we get those guys when they're coming around for stuff. I don't know. I can't tell you on a personal level how happy that makes me. It takes me back to not a better time. I mean, they were better time, all pretty decent, but just a time that you valued in your life for a property, for a situation, something that you loved. To go back there and just feel that nostalgia again. I was like, I remember watching that or hearing that.
And it does kind of make you miss just like being able to just sit there and enjoy that kind of stuff. Just at a better time, like you said, not maybe so much a better time, but just like a different time where things were less hectic, less crazy. You just got to watch Looney Tunes. You got to watch, Tiny Toons growing up in the early 90s. It's just, I love that kind of stuff. And I value voice actors, I think, more than I would probably, like a star of TV, stage, movies, whatever, because like they get to be everybody.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that a lot. So that was fun. That was really fun.
I think when we go back to edit the show later, because you just stepped on the very end of it, which is okay, I can take that out. But when he does that, all folks, and I'll just do I got the old classic Looney Tunes DVD library. I'll just pull it dun 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 dun, and then does the circle.
So good,
fantastic. I love that stuff so much. All right. We got to move on, and then we got to get. Where are we for segment 2? Do we have enough stuff to talk about, or should we just move everything else to segment 2?
Let's just move everything to segment 2. We already did an hour and 20 minutes. What do you people want from us?
All right, because we'll talk about personal stuff and other shit.
I mean, the Olympics we can move that. That's all.
We'll move everything. Everything will be in segment 2. It's going to be a hodgepodge for segment 2. We should coin that and put that on a shirt. Why can't I find a thing to break? There it is. All right, we're going to take a break and reset. We will be right back.
More, it's Eric Nagel. It's Eric Nagel. Next. It's Eric Nagel. Follow the show on all social medias at It's Eric Nagel for ways to watch or listen to the show, both live and on demand. Go to itsericnagel.com.
Greetings, my friends. This is
Pinky
and the Brain, and you're listening to
It's Eric Nagel.
You did that very well, Pinky.
Thank you. Oh, and one more thing.
Narf. You blew it.
Well, guys got to make a living.
They're Pinky and the Brain. Narf.
Segment 2 of the show, Eric Jordan here with you, talking about television, movies, streaming updates, going through all of that stuff, letting you know what's new, what's hip, what's relevant, and what isn't worth your time. But it's going to be a bit of a, what were we saying during the break? A hodgepodge of segment 1 and segment 2 together because of our fine guest before the show, Mr. Jeff Bergman. If you're listening to this segment, I don't know how you skipped the whole first segment, but go back there and start over again and watch that great interview with Jeff. So let's talk about some of the things going on with us, what's going on in the world before we get into the rest of segment 2, what it's known for here, since we didn't really have a segment 1. Jordan got to the show just in time here. Do you want to talk about any of that, or just give everybody at least a little idea of what was happening?
Yeah, no, it's fine. My daughter has been having issues with getting strep throat. So last year she had it like maybe 2 or 3 times. I think maybe even once this early this year. So we talked to the doctor and basically had a tonsillectomy done today. So I took the day off of work, thought we would go in early. I didn't know how it worked. Apparently the doctors waited literally to like the last minute to tell us, hey, oh, by the way, be here at this time.
Right.
Like we didn't know at all when this was going to get done until yesterday. We found out yesterday that, she had it scheduled for a certain time right at the last minute. So we met up, went there. She was a little nervous. I think she was actually not even nervous about the procedure. She was more nervous about getting the IV, getting the needle put in and stuff like that. So she was real nervous about that. She couldn't really eat or drink. So last thing she had was like around 11 this morning. So we show up there probably around 1:15, get her checked in. They call our names right away. I'm like, all right, sweet. They told us check in.
Concierge service.
I was excited because usually when you check in, you don't hear from anybody for like a long time. And then you get moved into the smaller rooms and all this stuff. So they call us back there. I'm like, oh, cool. This is going to go quick. They won't have any conflicts later on in the day. And So they do the whole bit where, get their weight, get the height, all that stuff. Then they move us into a room, ask us a bunch of questions. We have to drop, almost $800 as a down payment because the procedure itself costs like almost $3,000.
And insurance doesn't cover this?
They're going to run it through insurance. So the rest of it's going to probably be covered, or at least partially, by insurance. And then the rest of it we just pay off. So
you right out the gate, you're down $800.
Yeah. So we did that. And then, so then we move over to the other little area, talk to the nurse, what to expect.
Real quick.
Yep.
You're in a position where you can pay for that. But if you weren't, if anybody wasn't, do they have like a payment plan thing, or do you have to put it up front entirely as that?
I don't know.
Because I can imagine there's a lot of people who don't just have $800 to throw up there as the down payment for the surgery. Or is it a surgery or procedure, as they're calling it? Like, how does insurance?
It's an outpatient, but it's a surgery because they put her under. Like they did the gas and knock her out. So
do they do like a payment thing if you don't have the $800 to throw down right there?
I don't know. I never thought of asking that because we're splitting the cost. Like I only had to come up with $400.
Right.
So it was less than it would have been, and so I never thought of asking. But this was told to us a while ago.
When you're sitting there for many hours, there's usually pamphlets or a sign somewhere on there talking
so you
about.
Can't pay the down payment. Yeah,
it's like,
no, I don't know.
We accept
actually.
EBT, any of that stuff. Yeah.
Well, if Jack in the Box can do it, so can the
Cash App,
the tonsillectomy doctor. Yeah, so we did that, and then they move us into the other little area. This was like kind of like a bigger area where you see other kids with their parents waiting to get talked to and stuff like that. So there was a couple other kids there getting the same thing. And then an hour had passed. We talked to the nurse. She kind of gave us an idea of what to expect. Took vitals and things like that, and then we wait, and then of course that's making the kid nervous and. She's kind of like wondering what to do. We get one thing where the nurse said, they'll put you under, then they'll do the IV, so you don't have to worry about the needle portion of it. And then the other one comes over and says, oh no, who gave her the gown to put on and stuff like that. Oh no, we'll probably do it now. So then that got her heart rate up again, and so it was like a roller coaster of emotions.
The door with a hockey mask and chainsaw.
What's the brownies, boy? Oh, that's right. But yeah, so that happened, and then after a while, it's like everybody's got their specialty, so they all have to come in like piecemeal to come talk. So like we got initial nurse to talk about certain things, got a few things, and then another nurse came in and got some vitals, and then the anesthesiologist came over and did his spiel. He was very nice, talked about things. But what I noticed is that he's got a certain script he follows. So like you see him, okay, thanks. Well, I'll see you soon. And then he goes over to the next kid. It's like beat for beat, the same story. Yeah, then we're going to put this on your face, and then I'm going to make you laugh, or I'll tell you some dad jokes. And then after a while, you'll be laughing so hard, you can't hold the mask, so we'll put the mask on. And then next thing you know, it's done. And then, yeah, he does the same spiel to the other kid and the other kid. So I'm sitting there going, at least he's got his thing. And then
at least
the
you're not
doctor
walking
comes
into
over.
like the Three Stooges hospital or something.
Patch Adams. She's like, oh, shit. So, yeah, after about, I would say, we got there probably around 1 o'clock. She didn't go back to get the procedure done until 3. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. The doctor's like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. You come in, do all this stuff. So we go off into the waiting room. Not 15, 20 minutes later, comes back out. Yeah, everything went fine. I'm like, we're paying you enough. Take your time. Get in there. Really figure out if you did everything enough. Right.
Why didn't I get in first? Not take your time. If it was only a 20-minute procedure, I got here at 11. Come on.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, God, I mean, you've been doing this since 7 a.m. Are you tired? How's your hands? I know it's like this is a fairly simple procedure for you, but it seems like we're the last patient of the day. This was like, you got to get the customer out. You're tired.
Right.
And I'm just like, it gave me a little bit of, I was already apprehensive because like you worry about your kid. You're sitting there. You don't know what's going to happen. She's never been through a procedure like this. She's never been put under before. So, I'm sitting there kind of stressing a little bit. And then he comes out 15, 20 minutes later and I'm sitting there going, but taking your time a little bit. I just feel like he could have taken a little bit more time. Now he's a professional. I'm not going to, whatever. So then you have to wait till they wake up. So it's like procedure's done, everything's fine, everything looks good, we did what we needed to do. Now we wait. You got to wait till she kind of wakes up. So that was another, I would say probably
They don't
40
just
minutes.
wake her up, she has to naturally wake up?
Yeah. So she kind of come out of it. They're not going to just be like, you're done. So we had to wait another about 40, 45 minutes. So we do that. We go back to where she's laying down. She's kind of in and out of it. They're like, she just woke up. So they got a little slushy for her to try to, help with her throat. And to come to find out, she, I guess, is allergic to Demerol, which is, I believe, a painkiller.
Okay.
So as the anesthesiologist was giving her Demerol, she started to break out. Like face started to turn red, skin hives, all that stuff. So like, oh shit, we got to balance that out. So they pumped her full of Benadryl, calmed everything down. So now we know she's allergic to something, which, didn't know before, which is always kind of a scary way to find out something like that. You're like, oh, this is kind of a big deal. You just shot a big syringe full of Demerol into her and, oh, she's allergic to it. Thankfully it was just like rash and color. It wasn't like, this is something way crazy. So did that. She came out of it. She was, loopy as, normal. But yeah, right now it's just, I think a week of just trying to recover, maybe up to 2 weeks. Got the whole long list of things that she can and cannot do, stuff like that. Yeah, it's just it was crazy. I think I got on the road probably around, what did I say? It was probably close to 5 o'clock my time, which is 8 o'clock your time. And broke every speed law and traffic law to get down
here. You
here.
were trying to summon Fridays with Frank for half.
I was trying to meet Frank in the most awkward way possible. But yeah, everything worked out. Got here and maybe a little bit late, but I think I did all right. I was hoping not to miss it. I feel bad. Like I could have left earlier, but she wasn't out of it yet. I would have felt bad, be like, "Hey, I'm here when you go in," and then I'm just bounced to go do a.
Well, that's what I told you because I didn't know how long this thing was.
That.
I said, I'll do the show myself. It's fine, and then you're like,
well, and like I said, like once I got her into the car to go back home with her mom, there was really nothing for me to do. I mean, there's not. I could sit around and watch her sleep. Like she went home and passed back out for a while.
Get a chair real close.
I'm just sitting and just.
Exactly. Waiting for her to wake up.
She wakes up out of like a drug-induced coma.
Like that Dave Foley skit from Kids in the Hall, Daddy Drank. Yeah. When he's just sitting there and he's just saying all this crazy shit all wide-eyed, holding a bottle in his hand.
Yeah, so that's it sucks. I kind of wanted this to get done during the summer, but this procedure apparently is high in demand for all these kids around this area. So we scheduled this back in May, and I was hoping to get something done during the summer. She had just started school last week, so she's going to miss probably about a week of school already. She just started, so
pop her in the car and take her to San Diego with you.
I thought of that because I thought, well, I'm going to stay an extra day. I'm going to go hang out with my sister for a day. Maybe I'll just swing up that way first, drop her off with my sister for Friday, come hang out with you guys, and then go back up there. But she's going to stay home, so.
Oh, okay. Well, she's welcome to come down. I mean, we're not doing anything debaucherous or anything in San Diego, so we're doing the show and conventions. I mean,
I know, debaucherous. We literally had a conversation last night. Okay, so if I bring my gaming system and you guys bring your laptops, we can play Sea of Thieves in the hotel room together. Like,
it was not on my plan to do that, but that was Rob's suggestion. So I was like, no, that's not.
I'll bring my Steam Deck. It'll be fun.
It's not a terrible idea.
Just eat crappy food and paint our nails.
There we go. All right. Well, I'm glad she's doing. She's doing good. Not the best way to celebrate your birthday week, but
I mean, don't subscribe to the week of birthdays like everybody else does.
He's been planning this forever. He's been doing all kinds of events this week. His birthday was on Monday, folks. So if you're hearing this now and you're live, throw some happy birthday super chats in there for her. Otherwise, they're not going to say that they like you. But if you're listening on demand or whatever, go over to Jinxed Ronan on any of the social media platforms and send him a happy belated birthday wish.
Yeah, I think the only real plan I had for my birthday was Salt and Straw, the ice cream, the creamery that Hollywood agent Rob Stark just raves about, finally opened up in Arizona location. probably about 30 minutes from my house. So they opened up Friday the 26th.
And you were disappointed because they did not have the items on the menu.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
I had known that they were coming, and I had built this up, and Rob was talking about all these flavors, and I had picked a flavor out, and I was like, that's the one I want. I'm going to try a few other ones in the tasters, but this is the flavor for me. This is what I want to try. I got it. Oh, there was a long line. We had dinner for my birthday. We went, got in line. There was a pretty long line. It moved pretty quick, so we got in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm excited. I'm like, this is the one I'm going to get. I look up at the menu. It's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding
This is the
me?
Huckleberry one?
This was the Huckleberry cornbread. Looked so delicious. They did not have it. So I panic ordered and got their wild berry slab pie, which was fine.
Why is that a panic order? That sounds fantastic.
I was set on one thing. Like, because I could have been like, well, I want, really think about it. But I looked up and I'd be like, I'll just do that one. So
Jared
it
in
was
the chat
fine.
saying
It
he
was
has
good.
Salt and Straw near where he lives, and he has never been.
Yeah, it's good. And what I told you the other night is that I liked it, but I'm not going out of my way to go get it. Like
Right.
if I'm in the area and I say, oh, Salt and Straw's over here. Yeah, maybe I'll go grab a scoop. They're fairly comparable price-wise with a lot of other places. You're going to get a scoop for about $5, $6 maybe. But you expect that from something like a little more high-end as far as ice cream goes. But I am definitely not going to go out of my way to get it. I would be just as content, which is going to be blasphemy to Rob, with like Dairy Queen peanut butter parfait. Like I would be fine just doing something cheap. It wasn't bad, but by no means am I going out of my way. Like I'll probably have it again when we're out there in San Diego. If you guys want to go out, I know Rob wants to definitely do it, but I'm not going out of my way to do it. But it was fine. It was fine.
Lovely week you had.
That's about it. I bought a bunch of Legos.
Oh, that's
I'm a
good.
child.
You bought the Jaws Lego set?
No, the Jaws comes out on the 6th, but I am a Lego insider. I signed up for their little point system.
Right.
So I get the early access to buy it on the 3rd of August. So this Saturday, I don't know when it's going to be. I'm going to try to get myself a set. So I'm getting the Jaws set.
How much is it?
$150
for the boat, right?
For the boat, shark, all the little characters. Yeah,
that's not bad.
It's not a terrible price, and it's going to go right up on my shelf. So it looks like a smaller set, but it looks pretty cool.
Fantastic.
I pre-ordered the Legend of Zelda tree, so I've got that coming in September, and it just shipped today. I ended up getting the same one Chad Dukes got. I got the tower for the Eye of Sauron coming.
That sounds. I would.
The thing is like 3 or 4 feet tall. I looked at a video.
That's one you glue together.
Yeah.
You glue it as you go so that the whole thing stays into one piece.
That's going to be the centerpiece of my table during Thanksgiving. Be like, you know what? No cornucopia, no candles,
Put it in the windowsill like for Halloween, like they used to do the leg lamp for Christmas. You just put yours.
It's a major award.
Put some strip lights. Some strip lights in there that are twinkling the yellow and the orange, so it looks like the eye is alive. The eye
glows. They have a brick inside there that lights up, so the eye actually glows. So
fantastic!
I'm excited. It's ridiculous. It's an insane amount of money.
So you
I
are
got
having
a lot of gift cards.
Despite the procedure, you are having a fairly decent birthday week.
It's a pretty good week.
Good for you. Well, it's getting even better, my friend. It's getting even better because look what's coming in. Super chat from Jared the Geek, $20 for the Salt and Straw Fund.
Oh, appreciate it, Jared. Thank you.
They're starting a fund in your name to go get pompous ice cream. Every time I know,
I shall try the pear and blue cheese.
Rob sends us every month when the menu changes. He's like, guys, the new menu's in. Like, this is a big thing we all collaborate on and discuss. We've been pining for the new menu to be released, and he'll show. And there's some flavors that are like, oh, that's pretty good. I would try that. And then you see some things that look like it's lavender candies and like pine bark. And you're like, what is this shit? Who's eating this stuff? Avocado, cilantro, mint.
They also do this bit where they have these, what looks like perfume that you can put on your ice cream. So say you get a vanilla ice cream, but then you get the mint perfume. So you can spray it on top of your ice cream and eat it. So you get vanilla, but with a hint of whatever flavor you've, put Calvin Klein's CK1 on. Like, it's so weird. Like, I've never seen anything like that. It's the only place I've ever run across something like that. Like, they don't have toppings like they put on there. Not sitting there throwing Reese's Pieces all over your ice cream. You're getting perfume. It's the weirdest bit.
Some of their ice creams are just they're such disasters. I think they put it out there just so that it circulates on social media. Like, this is a pumpkin ice cream with authentic chunks of a cinnamon broom from Amish country, and you're like,
from Michael's.
Yeah, it's like, what? It's like, no, but you got to give it a shot. It's only $17 for a cone. No.
So here we go. So Aaron, my co-host on the other show, I'll Watch Later podcast, he says, I get salt and straw every time we go to downtown Disney, pear and blue cheese every time. I did actually try the pear and blue cheese as a taster. The problem with it is that I don't think I got enough of the blue cheese to make an educated assessment of how good it was. The pear is very delicious.
You got to get it with the buffalo chicken wing sprinkles on top
dip
of
the
it.
Buffalo wings into it.
Mm-hmm.
I think the pear ice cream itself is actually very delicious. I've never had pear ice cream.
I'm sure it is. A fruit flavored ice cream is there's rare occasions that it's not delicious.
Yeah, it was very good. I just didn't get enough of the blue cheese in the sample. So I think if I do go back, I may actually end up doing that.
Right.
Then I tried I think it was a habanero one, which surprisingly wasn't bad. But see,
Sits 15 and room for made for a clown. Habanero.
I love it. Some of these flavors are fine to taste, but I don't know if I could eat a whole big old scoop of it.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think I definitely want to try that pear and blue cheese in bulk, so I can kind of give a better, assessment on how the blue cheese pairs with it. No pun intended.
I just thought of something. I'm writing it down for a new segment you and I were talking about.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about, too.
Okay, had to write it down before I forgot. So there was that. Well, anyway, enjoy your Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity ice cream parlor out there. I promised Rob I would try something because I've never been
try it.
While we're in San Diego. But then I am walking completely in the other direction and heading down to Giardelli's. I am going to stop there.
I was going to say, if you save it to when I get there, I'll dedefinitely go to Giardelli's.
Then we also go.
Okay.
We'll march and do it Broadway style right down the street. It'll be fantastic. We got a bunch of stuff. I have some stuff that happened to me this week I want to talk about, but it's a birthday this week.
Ooh,
not just yours. And not just station here in New York, Z100, which his birthday is on tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Ooh, I'm gonna have to embarrass some people tomorrow. Yeah, but on August 1st, 1981, this happened. The moonlit. No, not the moon landing.
Fake. See, you can see it's fake. I did see someone post about this today. They're like, happy birthday to MTV. 43 years on the air, 14 years of music. I'm like, damn.
Pretty much, yeah.
I was like, that's pretty accurate.
You saw the writing on the wall when, what was it, Real World 3 started becoming really mainstream successful.
Yeah.
And then you're like, this is going to be a problem. Oh, now there's Beavis and Butthead, which were fine, but then there was a lot more shows, then there were a lot less music.
They started doing animation. They started doing what was it? Aeon Flux.
Yeah.
They started doing
and you got
Max,
the State.
The State was good. They started moving in more towards.
I want to dip my balls in it! She fell down a tree and busted her knee. Dum diddy dum diddy dee. Go Wildcats! Go Wildcats!
What else do we have here?
Hey, chicken imitation.
When they were doing their MTV Sports. MTV Sports.
I loved MTV growing up because it was my introduction, and this was rare because I didn't get to stay up that late, but when I did get to be up late, that's when I got to watch Yo MTV Raps. and then Headbangers Ball. And that's when I started really starting to understand different genres of music, because they didn't really play those at a normal hour. You know, you got the top 40s, you get the David Bowies, you get all that stuff, Cyndi Laupers all throughout the day, but then you had your little blocks of, you know, heavy metal with Pinfield, and then you got Ricky Rackman, and
Pinfield was 120 minutes,
right?
And
well, that's what I'm saying. Like
90s.
You had all these people to introduce me into those kinds of things, and I loved that portion of it. Like, it was so awesome.
Do you remember they did a music video for MTV called "You Down with MTV"? And it was sung by Dr. Dre, Ed Lover, and T Money.
Yes.
And it was to Naughty by Nature's OPP.
Mm-hmm.
I could play that,
so
but
good.
might.
I had the biggest crush on Tabitha Soren. So when she showed up on MTV News, I'd be like, all right.
You like the redheads, huh?
Not as much. It's all right. I had a crush on Kennedy, and then she went weird.
What do you mean she went weird?
She went a little more right of the middle for me.
I see her now and then over at Fox News. She's on Greg. She was on Greg Gutfeld's show this week.
I was going to say she's on all that
Norton.
stuff with him. Yeah.
She's doing just fine, Jordan. Just fine.
Not for me.
Hold on. Let's see. What the hell happened?
What'd you do, Erik?
Damn it! I had it all set and then it jumped away from here.
I used to love watching things like Remote Control.
Yeah, who didn't?
Oh,
it's fantastic.
So good. I always liked the game shows that they did.
Here we go.
Like Beat the Geeks.
Naughty by Nature is like, you took our song. It's like, actually, it's the Jackson 5. Shut up.
MTV, I can't explain it. I take it frame by frame it to have you all
Club MTV set.
M is for music, T is for telly, scratch your temple. The letter B, well, that's not that simple, huh? It's sort of like a well or something that you watch when you were sitting. The 6 little letters that I'm missing, yeah. You get it on occasion if your cable company isn't gaming. It seems I gotta start to explain it. Bust it. You ever had a girl I met her on a nice hello? And then you asked her if she ever watched the show.
MC Light.
She don't have cable, but she knows just what you talk about. Because she watched it at her mother or her cousin's house. It's not a front to F to the R, to the N to the T. She don't have cable anywhere. It's MTV, music, television, get it? Just pick up your remote control and just hit it. How many brothers out there know just what I'm
There's still the same amount of people out there. It's just they live out there.
Same people.
There's Colin. Oh, Duff. Fab Five.
Yeah, I remember Duff.
Adam Curry. Kurt Loder.
There's Kurt Loder, yeah.
What was the other one? Norris?
Oh my God, Iggy Pop. Jeez.
When things were just fun.
Oh God,
they
it's
didn't
so
need
fun.
to be so damn serious all the time. It's like, let's just goof around, let's have fun. This is essentially a parody song.
Yeah.
There's Dr. Dre. He's too big to move and dance around, so they just left him in the studio. And he spelled it D-O-C-T-O-R.
I know.
He was too fat to even. He was too lazy to even abbreviate. There's your chick, Jordan.
There's my girl.
Oh,
what's his face from
B-52s? Fred Schneider?
I think so, yes.
There was Gilbert.
Look, everybody just doing stuff, man. It's fun.
Yeah, look at that.
I love it, man. I keep saying I want to watch Who's the Man now.
Yeah, Dennis Leary was their police sergeant.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I think Colin's in that movie too. It's fantastic.
Bernie Mac's in it.
Yeah.
Ice-T.
There's Colin right there in the Letterman jacket.
Yeah.
That's Salt and Pepper. Damn, Skippy up with it. Yep. Heavy D.
I know.
Stretch and Naughty by Nature. Marky Mark.
I was gonna say that's Marky Mark, not Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. This is when you knew everybody on a network too,
right?
It was like radio. You knew everybody on a radio station.
There's Colin. See, I didn't like her with that haircut, but yeah,
with the Mushroom Kingdom haircut.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of mushroom caps you want to eat.
Ricky Rackman in that photo looked like Tim Dillon.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Martha Quinn.
I don't remember him.
I don't either. I forgot Pauly Shore was a big part of that.
Totally
TV.
Pauly. Yeah.
Downtown Julie Brown. Damn. What a great way to introduce people to like your channel, though. Like this is fun.
See, doesn't he look like Tim Dillon?
A little bit, yeah.
All right, well, there you go. Nice little trip down memory way.
Hold on, Pivotal Pete brings up somebody. Jesse, the annoying VJ. He won that
was later,
position.
though.
That was
during the TRL. That was like
God.
late 90s, early 2000s. That was that contest for, hey, I'm Jeffy, what's going on, dude? And
look at me, I'm a hippie.
Look at me, I'm homeless. I have track marks.
Fucking hate that guy. I hated that guy so much.
Everybody did. He didn't win, but everybody's like, oh, we got to keep him around because he could be the new Pauly Shore. And then they're like, oh, no, he's just dirty and annoying. He doesn't do anything. Pauly at least was dirty, annoying, and comics loved him. He was ingrained in the world of comedy. He was doing movies. Like this guy, he's like, let's have him stand outside and just say he's homeless. And we'll pay him, but this way we don't have to keep him in the building.
I remember the Real World cast from, I think it was San Francisco, the one with Puck and Rachel.
And
the girl,
Pedro.
Rachel. So Rachel is from Arizona, and her mom ended up being a Spanish substitute teacher at my high school. So it was a big thing. So her mom arranged to have Rachel come in and talk to everybody. And I was just like, you sucked on the show.
Yeah, you were annoying.
Stand you.
And she works at doesn't she work at Newsmax now or One Nation?
She's just another one of the right wing talking heads over there somewhere.
All right, so yes, happy birthday MTV. I don't know what is even on that station anymore, but they insist on doing the movie and music awards every year to nobody watching it. Last year, in the last couple years, they put it on every Viacom channel they had on cable. So
really?
If you weren't watching it on MTV, whatever's left of VH1, it was on Nickelodeon, it was on a whole bunch of different things. It was all broadcast. What does that say about your network or your company that you have one show that you're broadcasting on 4 or 5 different network channels that you have, and you clear all the programming just to broadcast that one thing?
It's Robin Big. It's like, okay.
Terrible. All right.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about some things that were going on in my life, and then we'll get on to everything else. So I went and tried this restaurant in that's not far from me, and it's a taco bar and tequila bar, right?
Sounds good.
So you go
far.
in there, authentic Mexican food. It's fantastic. I got this thing that is supposed to, I guess, resemble, in theory, the Taco Bell Crunch Wrap. You know what that is? It looks like an octagon, and it's folded in there with Fritos and.
I just had one a couple weeks back that had the giant Cheez-It in it. So yes,
I haven't tried that
with
one
the
yet.
Crunch Wrap.
Well, this version of the Crunch Wrap was much bigger, had slow pulled short ribs in there. Guacamole, 3 different kinds of cheeses, the pico de gallo. What was that? The Barilla sauce?
Barilla, yeah.
Barilla sauce. And so it's dipped in that and then grilled, almost like you would do like a French dip or something, right? Where they would dip it into whatever and then cook it. Then they give you a little side of that and fajita French fries, which were French fries that were fried and grilled with fajita seasonings. So it's like they make fajitas, then dump the fries on the grill with the fajita seasonings, and they get all the leftover fat and goodness from cooking the meats and the proteins for fajitas.
So good.
It was so good. So that's what I had, and you could get that, or they had some kind of like ranch creme fraiche thing. You could dip into that too. Also delicious. So we go to this restaurant, and we notice they have a giant sidewalk area in front of the restaurant, enough that they can set up a bunch of tables outside for outdoor dining. But they arranged it in a weird way. They had tables by the restaurant and then tables by the end where the curb is to keep a path open for all the other stores in the this complex area, right? This commercial park, whatever you want to call it. Where they could have had the tables too deep to the restaurant and then had the sidewalk by the curb. Makes sense?
Okay.
Didn't do it that way. So, they have tables and chairs set up at the line of the curb where cars are pulling in to park.
Okay.
I don't know this. I see a spot open. I pull up right in front of the restaurant. As I'm pulling up, there's a couple sitting there, and the guy is giving me a dirty look and then looking down to see if my car is going to tap the table at the end of the sidewalk there where my car is supposed to park. Right? So I see him, and then he's giving me a dirty look, and I look at him, and he's looking at me, and I kind of just go like this. Right? So I go around, and I got to get the kid out. Walking around, get up there, and I see he's like he's following me with his eyes. I see him, right? And I looked at him, and I go, they go into the restaurant. Everybody else goes into the restaurant. I stand there, and I turn around, and I remember I got to lock the car. So I see him looking at me. I go, well, if you didn't like that, you're not going to like this. And I hit the button, and when you go to lock the car, it goes, it hits the horn. Mm-hmm. So there's the car right up against their table and where they're sitting, and now the horn just honked really loud right in front of them.
I mean, you did warn them.
I said it. I was not trying to be a dick, but it was kind of a dickish way I said it. But you were
like,
giving
hey,
me
asshole,
a dirty
earmuffs.
look. You were giving me a dirty look the entire time, and you shouldn't have been all sitting there. Now, other tables were turning and looking. They were also lined up against the curb where the cars are parking and coming up. And they're looking at me like I'm the asshole. It's like, it's your fault. Well, actually, it's the restaurant's fault for putting those tables right at the edge where the cars are parking. And it's also now your fault for taking those tables and sitting there. Not my fault that cars are pulling in. You're getting the hot radiator air coming through the grill as you're sitting there eating. And then everybody's car, I think everybody's car, when you go to remote lock, it honks the horn, right?
Mm-hmm. Mine does.
So everybody's car does that. So, go in, eat, have a good time, leave. As I left and I forgot, I was like, shit, I should have taken a photo to show the story. No, to show for the story here. So I went back and took a photo of the restaurant, and let me show this to you. Tell me if I'm in the wrong on this or not, because I don't believe that I am. Why is this not showing up now? Uh-oh. Something happened.
You broke it. It's broken.
Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. Look at that. So, this is where the tables are. There's this huge walkway, because they got to keep some sort of walkway for this area.
Okay.
And then it's all right here, and there are the cars. Everyone who's sitting here, no matter what time of day they're sitting here, are going to have to deal with cars coming and parking right at their table and locking their cars and getting honked at while they're sitting here. Whose fault is this? The restaurants or the people that choose to sit at these tables?
Both. You're not at fault at all.
Right.
Just at all. The placement looks a little weird. Like you said, they maybe had to keep a walkway But I still think you can maintain that walkway and at least pull that a little bit further away from the edge of that curb there.
Yeah. But look where these people's cars are, right?
Yeah, they're like right
this
up
one's
against
right
the
there against the seat. This one's right here. This one's up against a garbage can. Like, it's poorly designed.
You're walking up to this place, you know instantly that table is right there. That's your fault for sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad placement, but at the end of the day, unless it was completely packed and you had nowhere to sit and you just really, really had to have that food, that's on you.
Right.
100%. You have no reason to be mad at anybody else for living their life and parking where you're allowed to park. The only way that would work is if the restaurant themselves blocked off that parking so you couldn't utilize it.
Right.
Then, you're good. That's a ridiculous reason to get pissed off. You chose to be outdoors near the parking lot.
Bartholomew in the chat saying that's just asking for some driver not paying attention and pulling up a little too far and nudging someone that's sitting there.
Or backing up and putting your tailpipe.
If you're sitting in that fourth chair with your back to the parking spot, and then all of a sudden you get shoved into the table because an SUV pulls in, not all your fault, but kinda. A little bit of it is your fault for sitting in that seat.
Yeah, no, but that's a different situation. That's two people making stupid decisions.
Right. So that's number one that happened this week. Jesus. Number two didn't happen to me, but happened in vicinity to me. I have a neighbor who reached out to a couple other neighbors, us included, and said, "Hey, could you check your ring cams for somewhere in this time frame?" Yeah, sure. What do you need? Well, somebody around 6 a.m, I guess, somebody drove up to their property and put a giant for sale sign post into their lawn. And it's not just like a little sign that you would put on your lawn that says, you're voting for this person for superintendent, or, happy birthday, happy graduation, kind of those kind of signs. This is
or
the
my
giant
mine inspector bid.
Yes. The giant wooden fixture that they need to hang the for sale sign goes deep into your lawn. It goes, I think, at least a foot into your lawn, right?
Put that lawn to sleep.
Some, it does. So deep. It was a good day. So the posts go in there. Some of them have the cement bases that you have to dig a little bit and drop it down there so that you bury it back up and it's stable and it's not going to wobble in the wind or if you run into it or whatever. So, yeah, somebody just came over, dug into their front lawn, put this into their lawn, and then drove off. So we go and we check. I look at my ring cam. Neighbors are looking at their other ring cams. It's a giant white truck, no identifying marks, can't see the people really. The truck came down the street, pulled into another neighbor's driveway, backed out and turned the other way to go back to the first house that had it, dug up the lawn, put the post in there, and drove off. Now, looking through all the videos, we can't figure out the license plate. We know the truck, we can't, but there's nothing to identify what company's doing this. So
that's so weird.
When they told me about this, the lady whose house this happened, I said, "Well, do you want me to come over and help out?" Her husband had already yanked the thing out of the lawn and threw it at the curb. So it's laying there on the curb by the street. They call the town. They call the local police department. They're trying to find out what's going on, and I followed up today. I said, "Hey, you ever find out what it was? What was going on?" No, but let me show you this first. That was what was dug into their lawn, and you can see right here,
Mississippi burning.
Look at that. That's at least a foot and a half.
Yeah, at least. Into
their lawn that they dug up to put this thing in there. So it's not like they could even do.
That's not a quick job either. Like they had to take time. Like, how did no one notice this happen?
They did it. It was at 6 a.m. It was just like a few minutes after 6 a.m, according to the ring cam. So nobody was either up really yet, or They did. They dug the hole into the lawn, put this thing in there, so you can't even say like finding like. Say it was an accident, right? Some realtor had the wrong address. You would go to the realtor and go, "Well, you're going to pay for the damage to my lawn, either the sodding or maybe you don't know. You could have hit the line for a sprinkler, something, right? Mm-hmm. Can't figure out who it is. Did you find out who did it? No, we didn't find out. Did you talk to the cops? Yeah, we talked to the cops. Here's the update. There were several other houses in the neighborhood that had this happen. Same white truck. Nobody's video footage got anything of a license plate. But somebody went around the neighborhood putting these into houses. But there's no sign. There's no this is just the structure to hang the sign. They just put these things in people's lawns. Now, could you think, is somebody trying to be, is this a prank? Somebody just had a bunch of these and decided to go around like, hey, let's
just happen to have them.
Let's just do it at 6 a.m. But between the hour of 6 and 7, there were several houses in the neighborhood that had this happen. And I don't know what the other houses did. I just know my neighbor picked it up and just javelined this thing to the front there by the curb. I didn't see it there today. So I said, oh, did somebody come and pick it up, whatever? Well, no, there's a park right near where we live. He decided this wasn't good enough. He was tired of seeing it, picked it up, and then hooked it into the park. So it's now the county's problem that it's laying there somewhere in the park. But it's a weird thing to happen, right? Truck coming in, just randomly putting these up around a neighborhood, and no realtor is claiming any responsibility.
I was going to say, there's no sign attached for it.
No, because that was the next thing. They're reaching out to realtors in the area and asking if these addresses are being represented by their companies for houses going on the market. And I know for a fact my neighbor's house was not up for sale. They weren't even talking to anybody. So the mystery will continue. Hopefully I'll have another answer for you next week. But it was so bizarre that a truck is going around and putting these into people's lawns. And I only know the one house, and they're not selling this.
I'm looking it up now, and I can't find anything that's it's like a nationwide scam. I don't know if it was a new thing out on the internet, someone doing something stupid. I can't find any information other than what you're telling me now. And it's so weird because usually if this is something, because I've seen things where people are scamming to sell vacant lots,
right?
Impersonating something there and trying to sell that kind of
stuff.
stuff.
They would put a phone number.
These
or
people's
something.
homes.
Yeah. This had nothing. Preston C in the chat saying there was an order made by some guy who had the wrong street but the right address, so he put him in because the realtor will come and hang the sign later. But for several houses, though? I don't know for sure if the other houses are not talking to a real estate company to go up for sale. I do know for a fact this one house is not.
What happens, you're sitting there, you're up early in your kitchen, you hear something come up, you look out the window, so you step out, the guy's just putting a post in, looks at you and goes hey, Mal, and then it just leaves with a sign. Someone had to have caught them in the act at some point.
Well, we had it on a ring cam. You can't really see the people. Yeah. It's a white truck, and nobody really got the license. So what can you do? I look forward to hearing next week, because these small towns, they all gossip on their Facebook pages or whatever, and you find out what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
That's so...
Yeah. We'll find out what it is. Anyway, so yeah, that was my week.
That's so weird. Your street's weird.
Yeah.
You got drunk women doing stuff outside the car in your parks. You got random real estate signs getting put up. You got a very odd mix over there.
It is.
They just have sand.
All right. Moving on with the rest of the news and what have you, and then we get into the TV stuff, movie stuff, all that fun stuff. Olympic updates. We're winning a lot of gold medals. Other countries are winning medals, so things are happening. We don't have to worry about that. There is some controversies going on. Right. Women's boxing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Has taken a black eye for the sport. So apparently there's this one athlete, competitor, if you will, that is, as the kids say, very sus. Because in other boxing competitions, this person has failed the gender identity tests, the DNA testing for it, but somehow passed for the Olympics. So a boxer named Ayman Khalif from Algeria, all white with pink eyes, had the opening round matches for women's boxing. It ended in 46 seconds because the competitor that they were fighting, an Italian woman named Angelina. Her name was Angelina Carina. That's typical Italian, where the name flows like that. The alliteration. But it's Angela Carina. 46 seconds into the fight, withdrew from the fight. Just threw her hands up and walked to her corner and turned away and just said, "I'm not doing this." So the suspect boxer technically won by abandonment, which has never happened before.
Never happened to me.
Right? But everyone is screaming and complaining that this is a guy appropriating as a female to box in the women's division of the Olympics. Now you see online a lot of people, and surprise, surprise, who the ones are defending are saying this is a woman, they have the right to do all of this stuff here, and everyone else saying no, you don't. This is exactly why. Apparently, the lady, the Italian boxer, got one shot to the nose, and it was way harder than anything she's had in her career. And it's not like she just started doing this. She's also a professional boxer.
Right.
For many years that worked her way to qualify to the Olympics. 46 seconds, just turned around and said, "I'm not doing this. I can't do this. This is too painful."
Like this
to
hurt.
Box.
Right. I was going to say, you have a profession where you literally have to hit each other in the face, and she was like, "Nah."
Apparently she yelled, this is unjust," in her corner and slammed her headgear on the canvas. As the match was called off. She refused to handshake the winner, then ripped her hand away from the referee, pushing the referee away as the hand was raised for the other person. Khalif also did the wrestling thing, sat on the ropes and held them open to let the other woman out, and she walked around to the other side of the ring and left. Like, this is fucked up. Like, this is not the whole thing. Well, you know, she identifies as a woman. She wants to play on the field hockey team. This is competitive at the highest level in the world. And there was a lot of boos. This person came back in, I guess, for something else, and people were booing and not having. So you can't just say it's an American thing. It's whatever. The world is booing this person, saying this is a load of bullshit. But the IOC is defending their decision and letting the man who's supposed to be a woman continue to box in the women's division of the Olympics.
I don't know enough about their situation.
Right.
I don't know enough to say, yes, it's definitely a man. Yes, it's definitely a woman. I know they have failed the test, the biochemical test, whatever that identifies, I believe, the XY chromosome to say you're more male than female. I do know that they are from a country that does not allow transgender rights. They don't recognize that sort of thing. They don't intersex, whatever you want to call anything. So for that end of it, I would think that they, representing Algeria, would be considered a woman because they just wouldn't do it. I don't know enough about them to make it, that determination. I know it's a huge, huge issue right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at her, if you want to, for, whatever, very manly features, very strong. But here's the other problem.
I was looking for the Adam's apple. I really was looking.
But the other problem is we have on the American female rugby team a very, very good rugby player who, by all accounts, if you would say, like, look at her right in the face, you're like, oh my gosh, she looks very mannish. Is that a guy?
Right.
She's definitely not. But it's like, I don't know how you get around that sort of thing. Because what if they are one of these people that biologically female, but their chromosomes, their biochemical makeup present more male leaning? They're going to, going to be more male in their physicality and the way they present. They're biologically female. How do you, other than saying, okay, well, we're going to go right in there and take off your pants? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how you get around this sort of thing. Because
it says here the different status of Lynn and Khalif at the Olympics and Worlds is fallout from the years-long dispute between the IOC, which is the governing body that runs the Olympics, and the IBA that oversees everything boxing, which is organized and run out of Russia, over alleged failures of governance and integrity, plus reliance on funding from state energy firm Gazprom. I don't know what that means, but apparently that's also part of this problem. The IOC says everyone competing in the women's category is complying with the competition eligibility rules. They are women in their passports, and it's stated that this is the case, that they are female. So they're going based on the passports or some certification rather than the testing. This Khalif has failed testing in other competitions. So they have a history of this. And it's I can see what you're saying about the woman on the rugby team.
Right.
But if they were tested for other competitions and it always came out they were female, that looks like China from the WWE or something like that, where some women just happen to have a lot of masculine features, whatever, but they are technically women. Physically, sexually, gendered at birth and all of that stuff. Saying that you are later on in your life, this is where it gets to be a problem, saying, well, I'm a female now, so I get to do all these female things. And everyone's like, no, you don't. You don't get to do that. So this happening on this world stage is now, again, not just the United States. This is around the world, everyone having a problem with this. So,
well, and there's another, I believe it's a boxer, also from Taiwan, that is in the same situation where they have failed biologically the test that the IBA does, and they've been allowed to compete here in the Olympic Games. I think it's Taiwan's Lin Yuting, which sounds like I'm making that up, but I'm not. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's different than saying, like, you were male all the way up until high school and then you transitioned to female and now you were an Olympic swimmer. That's different. I mean, if they are female, but something about their chemical makeup says you have this extra chromosome that would make you a male if we're doing chemical tests, I don't know. And I'm not going to, say, well, we got to see them sans pants. You know what I mean? Like,
that could be the
drop trow. Yeah,
we didn't have a guest. It's like this episode. See them sans pants might have been
sans pants.
Might have been the title for this. I will say this though, it has fueled the next competitor.
Oh yeah,
that Khalif will have to fight against, and it's a woman from Australia who apparently pummeled her competition in her opening round. And told the press, I'm not scared, and then yelled, I don't care about the press story and social media. If she or he is a man, it will be a bigger victory for me if I win. I will destroy them.
She dies.
So say this is all going on, right? And then you get a female who's, look, these are all professionals. They've been doing it forever to qualify to get here.
Right.
Just goes, I am going to fuck he or she up, and then does.
Good for them.
That is going to put so much attention on that Australian boxer.
Right.
Hamori. Ana Lucia Hamore. I thought she said she's not Australian. She's Hungarian. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to mess with the Hungarians.
The Middle East doesn't fuck around with that stuff.
No. We're from the Eastern Bloc, motherfucker.
All right. So that's what's happening. There's all kinds of controversies in weird sports. Jeez. You're thinking it's doping in basketball or the gymnastics or something. Nope. Simone Biles didn't quit. She actually went through this time and scored gold on the individual. So all the big top tier sports everyone's looking at, there's no problems going on. Swimming, no one's being accused of doping, whatever. But if you go into fencing, if you go into this kind of stuff, here's what else is going on with the where did it go? Did you just move something?
I moved the Olympic stuff back on to where all the Olympic stuff are together. Men's Olympic triathlon. That's the only thing I moved.
No, I had the thing about the river.
It's down in the Comic-Con stuff. You put it in there. Men's Olympic triathlon.
How did it get? All right, sorry about that. I don't know how that moved over there. All right, so they had to postpone the swimming that wasn't in the pool. The other swimming. The men's Olympic triathlon postponed because the river, what is it? The Seine River that goes through the heart of Paris.
They did the whole opening ceremonies on it.
Right.
Everyone had a boat.
They spent over $1 billion the last few years to purify and clean up that river because it was such a polluted
just a giant Brita filter on there.
They cleaned it. They were doing all these things to rejuvenate life in there. They were bleaching the water. They were doing everything you possibly could. They went to test the water and then said, oh, this is not fit for humans to swim in.
Right. For the swimming competition.
Right. There was a link to that.
There was no link there.
There was a link to it. Fuck, where is it? All right, I got it right here. Sorry. So it tested high again for traces of feces. Now, apparently what happened was it was perfectly fine when the ceremony started. Then over the weekend, it rained. And the way Paris is built is not really ideal, I guess, for water distribution in the sewage system. So when it rains, the sewage levels get insanely high and spill into the river.
Jesus.
So all those years of billions of dollars spending to clean the river, a rainstorm happens. And now it's no longer acceptable so they had to cancel a lot of practices. They weren't allowed to practice, and then the day of the competition got postponed.
Right.
Yeah, they spent about $1.5 billion to clean up the river, retrofitting an antiquated sewer system that overflows into the river when it is overwhelmed by heavy rain. As part of the upgrades, the city built a massive underground basin to hold stormwater for treatment. Well, guess what happened? It filled up pretty fast and spilled back into the river again. There was unacceptable amounts of sewage in the water to postpone. So it's been interesting to seeing all the little things become the big stories instead of the big stories, for everything that's going on. Then there's this. I don't know how long this has been in an Olympic sport, but it's called dressage. Do you know what dressage?
Dressage.
Is it dressage?
Yes, it is dressage.
All right, we'll call it dressage. The dressage.
Sewage dressage.
Yes. The dressage, if you're not familiar with this, I kid you not, is horse dancing. And it's not an equestrian event. It's not like you're teaching the horse to it's about the art of being graceful and masterful with the command of the horse, where it's running over and leaping over bales and fences and circling back and trotting. Like, it's none of that stuff. You're on a horse and you spend years teaching a horse how to dance and recognize the music changes for your set being played.
Yep.
Now, this one apparently is the one everybody's been waiting to see, and it's the American horse called Rave Horse.
Rave Horse.
And apparently it's also an internet sensation. The leading favorite for the dressage. 5-time U.S. Olympian Stephen Peters and his party-loving horse, Suppen Casper, a.k.a. Mopsy, aka as the internet dubbed them, the Rave Horse, are back to bust some moves for the Paris Games of 2024. Now, I had to kill the music because they were playing a lot of very popular music while this was going on. And this has to be transformative as we review it because the IOC will shut this shit down in a heartbeat if it detects it. So this is essentially, if you're on the audio, I'm sorry, you'll have to come back and look at the video later. But for those of you watching as we're doing this, this is all it is. Now you're hearing the Bee Gees Staying Alive, but like a dance remix of it.
Right.
And then some other songs that I can't remember, but I have the captions on here. Look, he's got the crowd on his side, but my goodness, this freestyle has got them right, and then whatever is coming up next. Right behind you, doesn't it? So at a half pass, let's see what the next passage, half pass, right. I don't know what these terminologies means.
Right.
It's a dancing fucking horse. Looking at it, it's just trotting in place, moving every limb independently. The stadium is full.
Oh, I know.
For people to watch this shit. But nobody's reacting. Look at them. They're all just sitting there bored.
They're sitting on their hands.
It's like we're seriously watching a guy on a horse as the horse is dancing.
I'm wondering if they're instructed to be as quiet as possible as
like a tennis match?
To not throw the horse off the rhythm. Like the horse has to focus on the song. They have to focus, and so the audience is instructed, like in a golf game or like you said in tennis, to keep your mouth shut until they're done.
This is insane.
But even the people who do this for a living back there behind them look bored as shit. And they do this. I mean, I would be bored. It's weird.
It's very weird. But then look, he's going to fist pump.
Yeah, I did it.
Right? He's trotting around in a victory, which looks like the dancing they were doing initially. Look, he's fist pumping like the end of Rocky. Like, let's go, or the thing where him and Apollo Creed
were about to punch each other.
About to punch each other, and then it freezes like that. It's so stupid.
So look in the private chat and check that video out.
I saw what you have here, and I'm going right to that.
Okay.
So if you don't know, in the United States, NBC has the rights to everything Olympics for all of their properties. They have specialty commentators to watch a lot of this stuff. They've hired Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg. I'm surprised it's not The Rock, because it seems to be everything Kevin Hart and The Rock.
This particular clip was from 3 years ago, I think, for the same horse. So the last Olympics, they saw this exact same kind of dressage. So this is
this isn't even from this year's?
No, this is
so they did this thing the last Olympics too?
Olympics, yeah,
God, this is so stupid. All right,
it's such a dumb sport.
Let's take a look at this here.
Okay, all right, that was an easy one. Come on, let's do another one. Horses, I like this. This is equestrian.
This is prancing.
They call this equestrian.
By the way, look at that horse.
Did you? Oh, the horse crip walking, cuz. You see that? Oh, that's sick. That's gangsters of look. Hey!
He's crip walking.
Look at this, cuz. Oh, come on, man. This horse is off the chain. We gotta get this motherfucker in the video.
Oh, you see?
Oh, my God.
Who said I gotta put the horse in the video?
Motherfucker's off the chain. I need that.
It's always funnier when you have to repeat the joke, right?
Right.
Olympics.
Man, you see that?
Play it one more time, man.
Gotta see that. The intro.
Horse is crip walking.
Play it one more time so we can see it.
Snoop's all over the Olympics.
He was at
he's everywhere.
By the way, how do the horses get to Tokyo?
What airline was it? Emirates.
They fly
That's
the horses.
expensive.
They fly the horses on Emirates?
And the athletes on Southwest?
You know, the problem is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
He ran the torch.
The horses get medals when
this
they
year,
win
and then he's been a commentator for NBC
That's a good
now.
question, Snoop. I've never seen a horse with a medal.
Do they?
No, it goes to the person on the horse, which should be.
All right, well, we get it, but
right. But yeah, it's apparently been a thing.
I saw that blow up yesterday. I go, what? Why is everyone all obsessed with it? It's stupid. I get why people want to see it, But then there were people who were obsessed with it for the reasons, I guess, that they like the sport. Like, they were like, this is an amazing moment. Like, you know, like the Olympics, the women's team won the gold, like that, where they're all going crazy and talking about, you know, their hard work and their skill and the journey that they had. It's like, for the dancing horse, that's what you care about?
See, I care about things that are like the women's rugby team got a bronze medal, first time they've ever done that. I know the men's gymnastic, I believe, got a bronze medal first time in like 16 years. The one thing I did find like interesting is that, have you seen like the shooting competition where they like all these guys, they're sitting there and they've got these guns. And then they put the thing over their eye and all this stuff. Some dude, I think from Turkey, walked up and just without like any special gear, anything special, just went up, posted up and got a gold medal. Like he was just owned everything. Like he was like the best like shooter out there.
Yeah,
like,
apparently
it's super interesting.
Apparently he had no gear, no protective
nothing.
They have something for kickback. They have some like earpieces and apparently it's very loud, and did absolutely nothing. He just walked up, picked it up one hand. Won. He did the shit that you see people do in movies when you go. You don't do that in the movie. You got to hold it right, like when like the gangster movie stuff where they would hold the gun sideways and they're going to shoot, but they still managed to hit everything, and you know that there's no way in hell that was a thing. Look at him.
Yeah, I guess he won silver, not gold. But yeah, without any of all that stuff, like that dude's wearing like
he's barely aiming. He's not in a stance like everybody else is. He's got nothing. He just picked it up and like, I'll just eyeball it, and then there he is pulling a silver.
Yeah, just wearing a t-shirt.
Can you Photoshop that and turn his hand the other way so it looks like he's holding the gun sideways?
I'll find a better shot of that, yeah.
Yeah, please do that, because that'd be hilarious. We can start putting that around and making everybody think that was really how he won the silver.
Right.
Fucking funny. I think that was it for the Olympics.
Before we get a lot of stuff, like a lot of track and field stuff, I think starts this week, like this weekend and stuff like that. So,
Bartholomew, yeah, he got the silver, but he just walked up one-handed in his pocket and plinked the bullseye with it.
People were like, "Yeah, it looks like some guy who's like, I need you out of retirement for one more shot." He's like, "Okay, I'll do it." You know, it's just like a normal dude walks up and just gets a bullseye. Pretty crazy.
Jindu, Erik says dressage like it was a food delicacy. Well, we are in France. If you haven't noticed, every time you've seen footage of over there when they're talking about French cuisine, I saw a report they did on French cheeses. There's like this giant gourmet cheese shop right near the heart of Paris, where not the area in front of the Eiffel Tower. There's another area where they have several of the events all together. And NBC walks over and it's like, we got to check out this cheese shop. And there's this lady reporter there, and they're just she's eating all these different kinds of cheeses. The guy has a table set up where it's all cheeses from different regions of France that tell a story, but Paris doesn't have its own unique cheese that represents Paris, but all these other areas of France do. And I'm sitting there, this is the Olympics we're talking about, right? I know France is fancy, but come on, you're in a cheese shop with all of this stuff. So yeah, if I'm saying dressage like it's fancy food delicacy, it's because all the shit I'm seeing on TV, there's treating food like it's something that none of you peasants, you poor people, could afford any of this stuff.
It's funny because you're right. The second we get a guest on the show, we have kind of a title. I think of like 1,000 things I would like. I want to call it Moulin Food. Just like it's so French.
It works. We could put it in the subtitle there for all of that. All right, that's the Olympic stuff. Before we get into the Comic-Con stuff, I wanted to just show you this. Somebody sent me this video, and it's hilarious. Okay. So, Sabrina Carpenter, up-and-coming pop star, really is starting to blow up a bit. I know her song Espresso shot to the top of the charts for streaming services. I think radio's playing it, too.
Mm-hmm.
I met her a few times at Jingle Ball. She's played a few years for iHeart's Jingle Ball tour. Very nice young lady, very nice, very personable, easy on the eyes, I'll say, if you allow me to say that. So she's doing a concert in Mexico, and she does a thing where she goes and talks to fans around the stage now and then,
to
be personable, be nice. This is footage. She talks to a fan. Again, this is in Mexico. Listen to this story that the fan tells her live during the concert.
Who did you come here with tonight? I'm here with my mom. Hi, Paloma's mom. Hi, Paloma's mom.
Oh no.
I chose you because you told me that you were heartbroken, and I wanted to know what happened. Well, my mom slept with my boyfriend, and she doesn't know I know.
Oh shit.
There you go.
Well, that's a dressage if I ever heard one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that it's fake, but it went worldwide, and stuff that is fake can go worldwide trending.
Right.
But there were a lot of outlets that had different other. That was like the closest and the best one I could find. But there were a lot of other people that were taping during this time, and everyone's like, nope, that girl showed up on her own. Like, she wasn't a plant. There was nobody around the stage doing all of that stuff. That was a genuine reaction. Oof. And it took Sabrina, I guess, at least another minute to calm down before she even went back to doing the show, after she just told the whole stadium or arena there to say hi to her mom. And that's how her mom found out that she knew that she slept with her boyfriend.
Jesus.
Good times that we live in. We're living in the best timeline. We like to say that a lot.
There's things, we've got former presidents insulting black people in front of the black.
But is he wrong though? Is he?
I mean, it makes for great stories.
It does. It's all wrestling.
You're right. It's all wrestling.
All wrestling. I'm here. I understand why it might have not been the right setting to do that.
No.
But then again, it kind of was the right setting to do that, because you go, imagine if he said that at this thing. No, he wouldn't say that. And then he said the thing.
Like he said the thing
that you shouldn't have said. That's why this is fantastic. This is a blockbuster summer, and it had nothing to do with Deadpool and Wolverine. There's just so much going on right now that you're like, this has been fantastic.
I know.
As terrible as everything is, this has also been equally fantastic.
Speaking of Deadpool and Wolverine,
$1 billion movie next week.
By next week, it's probably going to worldwide make about $1 billion.
It crossed $500 million yesterday.
Yep.
And they said, they have those ways of knowing how money is going to track and the audience scores and all of that shit. And they said by next weekend, Deadpool Wolverine will be $1 billion movie.
Yep.
2 weeks.
It is the highest grossing R-rated movie at the domestic box office.
Of all time.
By Sunday, it's going to be beating out. So basically, Marvel Jesus is beating Jesus. Passion of the Christ held the number one R-rated record at $370.7 million.
Worldwide, though, right?
No, domestic. So
I thought they already said that it already was the top grossing domestic for R-rated movie.
So it grossed this past Sunday. It brought in $380 million domestic, and then you got to add in the international. So that's
okay.
500. It's huge. Now you saw the movie, right? You saw it Friday?
I did. I saw it Friday morning. I forgot we didn't talk about that on the show.
Nope.
Time moves so fast, yet it doesn't at the same time. Went Friday to see the movie. It was like a 12 o'clock movie.
Right.
And I have to say how amazed and disgusted I was that the theater was packed at 12 p.m. on a Friday.
I thoroughly enjoyed getting the text from you. Now, we're a 3-hour difference, so it's 9 a.m. my time. You're up at your noon showing. It's just a little bit before, so it's prior to 9 o'clock my time. And you sent me and Rob a text. I'm absolutely disgusted. This theater is almost full.
Yes.
And it's not even noon. And you're just like, this is terrible.
Yeah, because I don't like sitting near other people because they hog the arm, or they don't shut up, or they're doing whatever. The guy next to me was, I swear, was narcoleptic. He kept snoring at certain parts. I'm like, there's no reason to be sleeping here. And of course, he's sitting next to me.
Right. What is it? There's no lulls in the story.
None.
Like, what do you...
None. I had to find a lull so I could run to the bathroom because I had to, my constant water intake makes me pee all the time.
Right.
So, very, very, very minor spoiler, but there's a campfire scene with Logan and a certain young woman.
It's in the trailer.
And I all right, this seems like it's going to be a bit of a lull. I ran in and out, it was 2 minutes because the bathroom was right near where the theater was. So I ran, went, came running back in. They were finishing up a conversation. Then the action was starting to move on again. And I had to text you guys to fill me in and say, hey, what happened during this scene? Because I couldn't wait anymore. And you filled me in. And I guess I picked the right spot to go do it. So that all happened. And I get back into the seat, and there's the scene where I'm trying to figure out how to say this without
spoiling anything, because you're not and I'm not going to be like the rest of the internet and immediately post screenshots, full videos, full articles.
I'll say this.
Look at you, Nerdist.
The character, I believe, is in the trailer. So I'll say this. There's a scene where they made essentially a tent city within dead Ant-Man. Right? When he's giant. He's giant Ant-Man.
Ooh, looks like Paul Rudd finally aged.
So they made a city in his remains.
Right.
And
which I believe they did in the comics at one point.
They show, and these aren't the big spoilers or anything, they show variations of other Marvel characters, and they're not played by the original people.
No.
So these are just variants of characters from other universes that we've never seen and don't really matter anyway. So they just hired unknown actors or lesser known people to put in there because they're not meant to be there's not meant to be a spotlight. They're just supposed to be there to embody behind a main character, right?
Right.
So one of those background characters is I can never get the name right. Azazel, which is a character that looks like Nightcrawler, but he's red like a devil. Okay. There's a scene, fire poof, he's standing there, right? These girls in front of me. Oh my God, it's Mephisto. I'm like, again with the Mephisto. Everyone thinks Mephisto's showing up in everything, right? Now, anyone going into those movies and they ask, who is that? I don't have a problem with that. If you turn to go, like there's a moment and everyone else seems to be laughing or, oh my God, that was like people are excited for that moment or shocked by a moment. I've seen plenty of times people lean over, what's going on? Who is that? Oh, I'll tell you in a second. Hold on. And then that goes, all right, that character is from blah, blah, blah. I don't mind that. That doesn't bother me in the theater when you have people going to see this stuff and they don't know the whole lore. There's people who do know a lot of the comic book stories and still have to ask me, wait, why is that? What's going on with that? Oh, remember this thing here? Oh, yeah. Okay. I get that. Those are the kind of movies you expect to have people asking questions because not everybody knows everything. And the ones who try to pretend they know everything, they don't. They're lying. So I don't feel too bad saying the following to these girls because somebody said Mephisto. It's not like they went, oh, who is that? You know, when they're going on, they're trying to figure out, and then somebody tells them, shut up or whatever. I'm not upset with that. The one girl said, oh, Mephisto. So you know she knows something about comic books, and she's trying to show off like she knows something about comic books, but the character's wrong. I lean over, because why wouldn't I?
Sure.
I pushed the button to bring my reclining seat up, and I leaned over the little wall, and I go, psst. And she turns around, and her friend turns around. And apparently there's a third girl that I didn't know until later.
Right.
I go, it's like, sorry, that's not Mephisto. And she goes, no? I said, no, that's Nightcrawler. I said, a lot of the mutants have red variants, like Red Hulk. They all have red variants of themselves, so that's what it is. And she goes, oh, okay, thank you. And she's like, oh, it's Nightcrawler. So I lean back. I don't say anything else the rest of the movie. I don't correct it. In fact, after the credit scenes, I went to the bathroom again, and then I left. So I told her, and she bought it, that a lot of the mutants have red variations of themselves. You know, like there's Red Hulk. because a lot of people know Red Hulk exists now because of the Thunderbolts teaser that came out before San Diego.
No, it was Captain America.
You're right. Sorry.
Whatever it is.
It's not New World Order anymore. It's
no, they changed
Brave New World.
Brave New World.
You're right. I muddied the water there a little bit. So people know the Red Hulk exists because it's in the end of the trailer, the teaser that's been out already. So when I told her that, she's like, "Oh yeah, like so that makes sense." I was like, "Why did I?" There was no reason for me to lean over and say that. None at all.
You know she's gonna watch that again later on with like a friend and say that.
Yeah,
and then they're gonna be like, "No, you idiot!
No, it's its own character.
They might Azazel from
they might be related, but they're not the. Yeah, so of course I had to do that. Though. Anyway,
of course.
Yeah. So the movie was great.
I loved it.
I know other people are saying, giving a poor rating. The story doesn't really hold up, or it's such a weak story, or some of these things don't really make sense. Who gives a fuck? It was entertaining. Everybody wanted to see everything that was happening. No one was really paying too much attention to the intricacies of that story anymore as the movie was going on. They're watching it, but they're not like, that doesn't really make sense. Whatever. This is still going good. Everyone had a great time.
I had fun.
Not just in our theater, but everyone that went to see it. People that were posting online, they went back for a second, some a third time to go watch it. I'm probably going to
go for a second one.
I might want to go for a second one as well, to go back and catch a lot of the things that you missed. But this movie...
apparently there's a lot of cameos in it that I didn't know were in it. And you wouldn't because their faces are covered. But it's kind of like how... what's his face? He's in James Bond, the blonde guy.
Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig was in the one of the new Star Wars movies. He was a stormtrooper. Like, people like to do these kinds of cameos.
So was Kevin Smith, but I knew that because he told me.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and then it was revealed that he was one of the troopers in.
There's a lot of uncredited part of
Force Awakens.
The Deadpool Corps.
Yeah.
A lot of actors that showed up in there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, a couple you recognized. Matthew McConaughey is the cowboy. You can't not know that it's Matthew McConaughey because the way he talks, you go, oh shit, that's Matthew McConaughey. Anyway, leave the rest of that for people on there. I want to bring this up because I just caught my eye, and I got to tell you something about this. So Jen Doof's in the chat here saying, people know about Mephisto from a channel called New Rock Stars. Yes. And they keep needling that guy by claiming any red Marvel guy is Mephisto from its WandaVision. That gets sent to me all the time. Every time there's something with a comic book property where people send me clips or links to New Rock Stars. There's a guy on there, I believe it's there, named Erik Voss. And blonde guy, very round, circular cherub face. And then overreacts over that time. What do you think about this? And what do you think that? Oh, wait, by the way, take time for our knockoff t-shirts. Go buy our knockoff t-shirts because that's the best way to support this channel. It's like, really? I think there's some infringement issues with some of these t-shirts that you're selling, but best of luck to you. And they put it out there and they're breaking it down, and it's just some of these channels where you're watching things. I get going to watch it because some people know this stuff more intimate than we do, and they have better insight as far as source material, details, or something on the set, whatever. Yeah, you go and watch those. But when everything is a major, oh my God moment, you start, it's like, I'm only 30 seconds into this, past the minute about them telling me to like and subscribe and buy their t-shirts. I'm 30 seconds into this actual review thing, and then I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't care if I know who that other guy was or what that thing was hanging on the mountain behind him. I don't want to know anymore. This is annoying. But they're doing something right because they have hundreds of thousands of views and millions of subscribers. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they have millions of views and hundreds of thousands of subscribers. They're making their money. I'm certainly not making that money by calling everything out for being schlock and terrible, but I can live with myself, if that means anything. It doesn't mean anything financially, but it means something to me, damn it. Moving on. You enjoyed Wolverine and Deadpool?
I did. It gave me everything I thought it would be. I wasn't expecting, life-changing stuff. The cameos were fun, but I think the story was really good. There was a scene where they have a fight inside of a van that I thought was well done, like really fun. I I had a good time with it. Like, you don't get to just have a good time with movies nowadays. It's either an agenda or someone's trying to, Oscar bait, and this was just fun, and it kind of got rid of some of that fatigue that people keep talking about with like comic book movies and things like that. This was just a fun movie, and it gives me high hopes for the directions that they're going to go with some of these new Marvel properties that we'll talk about. Like, it opens up doors. It closed the door on the Fox properties in a good, fun way.
It did.
Like, I liked it. I really did.
There is no fatigue.
Oh, not for me.
No, for a lot of people, there is no fatigue. You just went through a period of bad storytelling or bad execution, if you will, for certain properties and whatever. So yeah, you can get upset by it, but there's no fatigue because people were salivating for this movie a month before a month before this came out. So that's when the tickets went on sale. So many of the theaters in cities, I'll say, major theaters, all the pre-sale tickets sold out.
Yeah, late shows were packed.
Everything.
The popcorn buckets
Thursday
sold
nights,
out.
Friday mornings, Saturday mornings, opening weekend. Unless you're doing a Harry Potter or some kind of kids thing, when do you have full theaters in the morning? You don't usually.
I haven't seen them in a while.
Which is why I go. Because there's not a lot of people there. I get to see the movie, and I don't have to be there at night dealing with all the riffraff. So, there's no fatigue anymore. Everyone loved this movie, and it was probably the shot in the arm that was needed to get shit back on track for Marvel and to be excited for Marvel again, because then we go to San Diego Comic-Con, and Marvel blew the roof off the dump.
They, I think, were the only ones that really brought a lot of energy to that. Like, there was some little announcements here and there. DC was almost just nothing for DC.
Right.
And then Marvel just said, well, we're going to kick the doors in again. This is what you came for. And it was awesome.
They definitely did that. They announced the Fantastic Four. Now, they said, because we're getting ready to shoot in a few days, so they're not here. Here's a little, I guess they put a little treatment together showing you, I guess it was something that they unofficially filmed just to show, like, the looks, the outfits, the scenery, what this could develop into, and that's what they showed the audience, and then revealed the audience that the cast is there. So the place went crazy. Then they had the classic car come flying from the back of the
fantastic
of
car,
the hall to the front. Everyone was going crazy with that. Then they said they were going to film on Tuesday, which was this past Tuesday. So they've already that's already undergone filming and script. What did you add here? This brief footage. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you changed something that we had here. Got it. There you go. So yeah, you got to see all the suits, the cars, everything. It looks fantastic.
They announced their new title. It's called Fantastic Four: First Steps. So they've added that.
I read it was an homage to like the Neil Armstrong. First Steps on the One Small Step for Man.
Yeah. So what they're gonna do is it's kind of like a futuristic version of the '60s, which is kind of a cool setting to bring this all in. They announced
it's called
Galactus.
The futurism period. From the 60s, where they had a lot of it's essentially what Epcot Center was and Space Mountain. It's all based in that same time, that futurism era of art style.
Yeah,
which I love so much.
They said Galactus is going to be the only character in Marvel right now with no variant. So that is the only Galactus that exists in any of the universes, which is kind of neat. They are basically, they're not going to tell an origin story. They're not going to do the whole, this is the fourth Spider-Man telling of, Uncle Ben dying and this. They're going to kind of do the Spider-Man bit when he came into this where he's already been Spider-Man. He's already doing his thing. Then we kind of just pick up. They're doing that with this. So it's not going to be like, okay, we got to watch an hour and a half of them getting bombarded by gamma rays or cosmic rays and things like that. So that's kind of good because then they're not treating the audience like we're stupid and that we don't know this.
Right.
So they're catering a lot of that to the nerds, the ones that have known the story, and maybe tell it in a way that brings in the others that don't know it. So that's going to be kind of cool. And yeah, it's gonna be. I'm actually excited for that one. A little bit. Like, I like the cast.
I'm very excited for it. I was excited for when they announced it. My only issue is that I still kind of don't see Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards.
I didn't,
and I also thought he's being overplayed.
Footage.
He's in everything now,
for sure. Yeah, he's going to be in Gladiator this year. He's just in everything. I liked the footage that they did show because there's been leaks of what they showed at Comic-Con. So they kind of played up like he's like this science teacher / TV host of a science show and kind of doing
he's like
stuff.
Mr. Wizard.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like he felt okay there, even though like it was test footage. You see the guys in their suits, they see everybody in their suits and kind of interacting. They're doing a bit where you could see like there's like this dating show thing where she goes, I want contestant number 3. And they pan over and they don't reveal who everybody is. It's still in the dark, but you could tell it's the thing.
It's the silhouette.
So it's like,
yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of doing some of that stuff. I think it's going to be campy and kind of fun, and I think that's kind of a direction they need to start doing with some of these movies again, where it plays into a bigger story, but they're all compressed in these own little genre films. Because you've got Brave New World kind of is going to feel like Winter Soldier, very espionage, that kind of thing. This is going to be a campy '60s romp, and I think it's going to be really neat. I'm excited about that.
The video clip, it's all over online now. You can find it, but the video clip they showed in the hall, the little snippet for Fantastic Four, revealed a brief shot of Galactus, and he's leaning down looking into which I don't know what the Fantastic Four's building is called.
The Baxter Building.
The Baxter Building. But he's leaning right into there and looking. You just see the eyes and the rim of his helmet
big
or
purple
something.
helmet.
So there's that. What you don't see is, and we know that they've cast already, and I see Frankie Bronson here, that Silver Surfer better be in it or bust. Silver Surfer is in there, but it's a variant of it, and it's the girl from the
Ozark.
The Ozark, the blonde girl who says motherfucker all the time.
Right.
She's a great actress. I've seen her in a couple other things. I can't remember her name, but she's playing a variant of the Silver Surfer for this movie. There was that. We saw the cast of Brave New World up there. They had Harrison Ford, and he demonstrated how he did the Hulk for motion capture.
He killed it, man.
He did.
He's one of those ones that is like doesn't give a shit about anything that's going on around him, but also supports everything that's going on around him. It's so funny.
Then they brought on the cast of Thunderbolts, and even brought in Julia Louis-Dreyfus as was it Veronica? Is that her name?
Valentina.
Valentina. She came up there, and then David Harbour comes yelling and complaining through the crowd up to the stage in his
Red Guardian outfit.
No, I was trying to think. Is it his original Red Guardian outfit, or is it the one for this thing?
They've been filming this new one, so it might be this new version of it.
He's dressed as Red Guardian in one of the outfits, and he comes up there, and then he's in character. And then he turns. He's like he's schmoozing the audience. He's giving them what they want. And he turns and looks at the stage, and then breaks character. He goes, "What? I'm the only one who dressed up for this thing," which was kind of funny.
The email,
yeah. So you saw that. They showed a little snippet of something for Thunderbolts. I guess it was the scene. I haven't seen it yet, but it was the scene of Harrison Ford hulking up in front of everybody, so it's not even a secret anymore that
I'm going to stop you. That's Brave New World again. Like, you're mixing both movies. Brave New World is where
damn it, I am, aren't I? They might as well be the same thing.
Well, they did announce that Harrison Ford is going to be in the Thunderbolts. That is new information. So he is going to be the main issue, at whatever in Brave New World.
So I'm technically right, but factually wrong.
But yes. So the footage they showed was Brave New World. They have Harrison Ford going to be in the Thunderbolts. I think what is crazy about the Thunderbolts is that they had the cast up there, and they had somebody up there that they have never talked about, didn't tell anybody they cast this person, and that is Lewis Pullman, Bill Pullman's son.
He said his name is
Good
Bob.
actor. They've called him Bob, which is also short for Robert, which is also the first name of Sentry.
But it was also his name in Maverick.
Right. But why that's funny because that character was originally supposed to be played by Steven Yeun.
Right. And we know he was, that got nixed really quick when that kind of got out and everyone's like, nope.
Yeah, we will not.
Don't like him.
Will not handle that.
Not happening. Probably a fine actor, just people were not happy with the casting choice, so they nixed that, and
so
looks
it
like
hasn't officially been announced who he is, but a
young
lot
Pullman
of speculation.
might be Sentry.
Yep.
So there was that. Then you thought that was it and they were done, and Fahey makes an announcement that they've changed the name of the Avengers 5th movie.
Correct.
And it is no longer the Kang Dynasty, it's now Doomsday.
Which got a huge pop.
Huge pop. And then you have the 6th Avengers movie, which is still Secret Wars, but it had a new logo for that. So everyone's excited. That it's confirming that Doctor Doom is finally going to step up and be part of the universe. Then he reveals that the Russo brothers are back, and that got a huge pop. And if you don't know who they are, they did all the Avengers movies, including Infinity War and Endgame. And they started talking for a little bit, and they bring out essentially like a cult, if you will, of these people dressed up like they would be
Doombots, basically. Yeah,
robots, but they would be like peasants, followers of Doctor Doom. And they did the reveal instead of in the movie. They revealed it here who's going to be Doctor Doom, and this went past entertainment news. This was on like at major news. Yep. Like the national news programs were all mentioning that this happened, that the big reveal is Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Victor Von Doom. And the previous week you had told me about that rumor, and we all like, that's ridiculous. That can't happen. Who's going to believe that? And lo and behold, a week later, here we are, that with egg on our face, that was exactly what's going to happen.
I'm mixed where I get what they're doing. They're bringing back the Russos, bringing about Robert Downey Jr. They're trying to right the ship. However, and I'm going to say it on the show, so when it happens, I can point back to this episode and say, I told you so. I think
I muted him right as he was going to say it.
I think this is a red herring casting.
I was hoping you didn't see that. I hope you would just went into your whole thing.
I saw, man.
Okay. I saw. I gotta get permissions away from you. Go ahead.
No, I see it when it happens.
All right.
I personally think this is a red herring casting. I think they cast him, they make a big deal, they get the pop, get everybody into it, and when the movie comes out, it's not really him. Like it's somebody else that they hired.
Then what do they do with him?
I don't know. You're doing variants. You're bringing Secret Wars.
You philosophize. I'll be right back.
You can't do Secret Wars without having your core character. So you're going to see the return of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man at some iteration of it. You're going to see Captain America come back, both versions of it, Mackie and Evans. I mean, you're going to see these things. The Secret Wars is going to be a big movie, so you have to lay the groundwork. I think Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom is kind of a cop-out in a way that doesn't make sense, because you can have variants of characters be completely different people, but you're literally taking the same face of Iron Man, Tony Stark, and putting him in the body of Victor Von Doom. They would have to do something wild to explain it. Now, I trust the Russo brothers to do this.
Right.
I trust the writing team. It's the same writing team from Endgame and Infinity War. They've done these things. They have a good track record. I just think the outlier is having him be Victor Von Doom. Like, just throws me off. How do you explain
Just go
that?
with it and enjoy the ride. Haven't you learned the way this year has turned out to stop trying to figure out how to fix things and just go,
I can't fix the
yes,
world.
of course that is happening. That was supposed to happen. Let's just go with it.
I mean, I'm going to go anyway. You've got my money already.
I was just thinking of something real quick. Trump's comments at the Black News
So we're
Journal
going back
thing,
there.
right? Says whatever. Kamala has her rally with
In
Megan
Atlanta.
Thee Stallion performing, and they're
Saw
all
that.
grinding and twerking, and it's just whatever. But at one point she says, and this just goes into if this is supposed to happen. She's just playing it off. Of course, it's unexpected. It's what he does. And then she makes some big rally up speech where she goes, if you're going to say it to my face. And the whole place goes crazy.
What if he does?
Not what. He will.
When
that debate comes around, he's going to say it to your face.
He won't. Yeah, he will.
The days of in a civilized society, we're not there anymore.
Oh, we're well past that. That was done a long time ago.
Yeah, we're at SummerSlam's happening now. That debate is now SummerSlam. The first one was WrestleMania. Now we're at SummerSlam. He's going to say it to your face.
Like, this is going to be such an event. Do we, if it happens on a Thursday, do we try to do live coverage, or do we postpone the show and watch it and then comment on it later?
Oh, that's a good
because
point.
that is going to be something to talk about.
Maybe we do a live stream where we just sit there and do commentary for this for the.
I am okay with that too. That would be good.
Fun. All right.
Yeah, because the last debate was on a Thursday. We happened to be doing the show. I followed up after the fact, and it was not as good. But this is going to be something to pay attention to.
Yeah, it is. Which is why I was bringing this up, because you're saying about, I don't know if this is a red herring. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Just say yes and watch it all unfold, and just don't give a shit about it. You know what I give a shit about? Time with the kid. Getting repairs and stuff done, catching up on some of my games, other little projects that I've been working on. That's what I care about now. The bigger picture stuff, not really there for me at the moment that I'm giving a shit about. Stuff that's going on in the world, there's too much.
Well, and that's what I told you with my whole plan leading up to my birthday was, I'm going to buy some Legos. I'm going to get some ice cream. I could care less about anything else anymore. I don't want to know about politics. I don't need to know who you're supporting.
It's such a happier way to live.
I want to enjoy things. I just want to have a good time.
I'm
excited to go out to San Diego.
Just watch it all happen.
That's all my time.
And our job is to enjoy it or not enjoy it, but to commentate on it. Yep. And that's it. That's it. Come say it to my face. He will.
He will.
You keep saying things. You keep setting him up for more promos. Other San Diego stuff. So, yeah, no mentions of X-Men. X-Men's a bigger deal than you realize it is. People were upset that there wasn't enough X-Men in the Deadpool movie. I think X-Men is going to be in the same universe, but parallel universe to this one. So they're going to run their timeline with the X-Men stuff, because there's just, X-Men is bigger than a lot of the other Marvel properties. There's so much going on. So let it run there, and eventually they'll cross over. We know for a fact, because of San Diego, Deadpool's going to be involved in the Avengers movies. We also know for a fact Fantastic Four is going to be involved in the Avengers movies.
Correct.
So Secret Wars can be a lot of different things. Secret Wars will involve some way, shape, or form the X-Men in there. And that could set up the next phase, which is, 7 or 8?
Yeah. I think it's going to be the Mutant Saga, and I think we're going to get ourselves X-Men versus the Avengers.
Yeah.
Or
but that one faction of Marvel
House
is
of
bigger
M.
than everything else.
100%.
So let it run parallel and let them develop with their movies, build that world back up again in the MCU version. Let them do what they do there. Not everything has to happen at once on this planet. Everything is happening at the same time. It's going to be exciting. At least that's my prediction on it. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So there was that. Don't worry about the X-Men stuff. Adamantium has now been introduced. It's in the Celestial that's hanging in the middle or floating in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Gone 10 movies without even talking about it since it happened.
That will be a storyline that drives the next few properties.
Yep.
It'll be Captain America. It will be Thunderbolts. It will be obviously X-Men. So that's another thing that is coming to fruition. I think that was it for the Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. But I mean, that was the big one. I mean, Saturday they just did that. They did a drone show, which was really cool. That they did, like the Fantastic Four logo. They did Galactus rising up under Petco Field. It really did turn me around on. I want to watch drone shows instead of fireworks. Fuck fireworks. I'm over it. Like that was rad, and you could do so much with.
They had fireworks in the drones when they did the spinning fire wheel. Because the way the thing started spinning, I thought it was like another Doctor Strange thing. Mm-hmm. Like it was going to be the sling ring opened up, and nope, it was Fantastic Four. Everything was fantastic. No other real news coming out of San Diego.
The Boys is getting another
bothered
show.
to pique the interest of anybody. Doctor Who announced some spin-offs and everyone's like, ugh, who cares? Enough with this shit. The only fun thing about the Doctor Who panel is that they announced that the lead actor does not have a contract now. They did the 2 seasons. He hasn't been renewed to be the Doctor yet. And they don't know where Disney's at with Doctor Who. They're waiting to see how the next season goes. I hope it falls on their face and it busts in a big, big way. And it sucks because I love the property, but the property needs a huge overhaul, and this stuff has to go and be done with. There was that. DC had a panel that you wouldn't even know, except
they talked about like some of their comic book stuff. But
nobody cared. The only thing that got any kind of attention was Gunn posting the little snippet about we've updated the logo, something that will honor the past, and the fans want. You're like, oh, it's
honor. It was literally the old logo.
It's the 1970s logo. It's like, oh, cool. That's the new logo for the company. Fantastic.
Jared the Geek did bring up, the Alien Romulus panel gave out face huggers. That was kind of funny. I've seen footage of that where like they gave people like masks that looked like the face huggers.
That's kind of cool.
Like that was kind of weird. I'm excited for that movie. It comes out like in 2 weeks. Something like that. So that's going to be fun. A little creepy looking.
The whole time I thought we were going to skirt, and we got reported.
Oh, shit.
Thanks, Carter.
Is there anything I can do?
I thought you were on vacation, Potato.
I know.
Turn off the internet and enjoy yourself.
He's posting about aging actors turn rockers that I'm going to go see in 2 weeks.
That and how Howard Stern has become Don Imus. Those posts are pretty funny.
Those are fun.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't really a whole hell of a lot. Mark Hamill's doing a SpongeBob movie. Mark Hamill is getting a lot of praise and heat at the same time.
It's weird, right?
He's getting praise for some of the stuff he's talking about on Twitter, and he's also getting a lot of heat for some of the stuff he's talking about on Twitter.
Yep.
Shut up. Stop getting into politics. Have you tried shutting up? The more time goes on, that little segment of this show is really going to blow up.
4 out of 5 dentists agree. You should probably shut up.
I got to get the logo done. Maybe that's something you could work on.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Figure out how we can do that and use that for the show. All right, so that was San Diego. We did the Olympic stuff. In theaters right now, Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Ooh.
If you need something for your kids, there you go. Trap, what is that?
It's that M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong movie.
You can
where
skip that
Josh
too.
Hartnett's coming. No, I've already heard it sucks, so I'm not going.
All right, so skip it. The Olympics are monopolizing TV right now on NBC and on Peacock. You can stream all that stuff there. Futurama Season 12, we told you, is out on Hulu. Kite Man continues to thrive on Max, HBO Max. You can watch that.
Have you tried watching that yet? Or no?
No, I just finished The Boys.
Okay.
And I'm watching the new season of Cobra Kai. It stinks.
It's rough.
It's pretty rough.
Again, I'm kind of over everyone's trying to brawl all the time.
Yes. It's like, oh, let me dig deep for another little character that meant nothing and try to bring them back as a big reveal. Over on Netflix, Godzilla -1 minus color is available. The black and white version. That I will give a watch because I have not seen it in the black and white version. Joe Rogan's new special, Burn the Boats. The live event is coming out on Saturday,
August 3rd.
August 3rd. You can watch there. And Batman Cape Crusader, is that an animated special?
It is an animated series on Amazon.
Okay.
This one's weird because it looks really good. It's getting high praise, but they've changed characters. Like the Penguin is a woman named Oswalda Cobblepot. So they're doing that.
Done. Moving on. And that sucks because DC's strongest suit was always their animated movies and specials.
Right.
But I guess it's like, oh, how do we fix a good thing? Let's break it. Coming up the following week over on Netflix, we're back with Umbrella Academy Season 5.
I'm excited for that one.
August 8th. And then in theaters next week, Alien Romulus. No, that's 2 weeks from now. Yep. Borderlands is next week.
Oh, my God. I forgot about that one.
So that's going to happen. All right. That's it for all of this stuff here. We will be in San Diego next time you hear from us. Jordan, myself, Hollywood agent Rob Stark will all be out there doing the program from the lovely Gaslamp District. And, on Friday, there will be no show. Thursday, we will post accordingly. So adjust your schedules accordingly to be a part of all of that. And thank you again to our guest in the first hour. It's been a long time. My mouth's dry now. In the first hour, Jeff Bergman, legendary voice actor. If you didn't get a chance to see that interview, well, you can watch it by hitting that little scrolly thing and go back to the beginning of the show. Same thing if you're on the audio version. Thank you for doing that. All right, there's the music. There's the plugs. Jordan, our nation's eyes turn to you.
You can come check us out on I'll Watch It Later podcast. That's my second podcast that I do. Erik was a guest on our snack show this past week. He killed it. Everyone loves him. And also his quality of camera definitely showed how much more work we've got to do on that show. So I'll Watch It Later podcast on YouTube.
That comes in time.
At Watch Later Pod on Instagram. And you can find me at Jinx Ronan on Instagram.
All right. And for me, it's Erik Nagel across the board on all the social media stuff. If you're listening on the iHeartRadio app, thank you very much for doing so. If you're listening on Apple and Spotify, those kind of places, do us a kindness. Go over there, leave us a positive review. It does help out the program in a big, big way. Then you can go over to the live rooms as we are live each and every week. We do the program on YouTube and on Twitch. And you can go and subscribe, do all the notifications, all that fun stuff over there. Under the name It's Erik Nagel. Do us a kindness also as well if you could go and tell 2 friends.
I told 2 friends, but that is not enough.
No, it is. 2 friends tell 2 other friends tell 2 other friends. It's like the coronavirus.
That indeed is like the coronavirus. It will infect you. So do that. All of this helps out the program. We can't thank you enough for doing that. And I think that's it.
That's it.
It's been a long show. And then we got to travel. We were going to San Diego. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, show next Friday, not next Thursday.
Correct.
So,
or if we can't do it live, if the hotel has a problem, then you'll get it on
live
Saturday.
From Ghirardelli.
Yes, there you go. All right, until the next time, everybody.
Be excellent to each other.
And, good on me. We'll be seeing you.
It's Erik Nagel.
Last time, I almost killed everybody.
And what did you learn from that?
Lessons, I guess.
Alas, we're out of time.
Follow It's Erik Nagel on social media platforms. For ways to watch and listen to the show, or join us for the live shows, head over to itseriknagel.com. Yo, and remember to tell 2 friends so they can tell 2 friends, and they can tell 2 friends, they can tell 2 friends, they can tell 2 friends. You get the idea.
Keep it real, homies.